So Gary, welcome to our show. Glad to have you with us. You mind maybe sharing a little about yourself? Maybe
Yeah.
we love the fact that
I'll
you
tell you.
are an immigrant.
I am.
Came to US, actually not US, came to Canada.
Yeah, when I was 3 years old, I came to Canada. Yeah.
And now you're U.S. immigrant.
Now I'm a U.S. immigrant. It's my second immigration. But I got to say that the first one was a lot tougher, coming from, not that I remember, I was 3 years old, but coming from Ukraine at the time with, my parents had no money. They didn't speak English. They had no contacts. Coming to Canada, being, we're refugees, being on welfare for...
Canada has welfare too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's good.
Canada has welfare. I mean, this was in 1976, so there were a lot of social programs. And I remember my mom, telling me the story. She said, like, leaving Ukraine and coming to Canada,
Right.
it was like landing like on Mars. It was just the strangest experience. Yeah.
But did she feel like it was an upgrade, even though they had to be on welfare?
You know what? People in my mother's generation, they weren't thinking about upgrade. They were thinking of survival. She grew up in a post World War II situation, and it was just like Kiev at the time. It just wasn't a great place, and so Kiev was the kind of place where it was during communism. If you're walking down the street and you see a lineup, you just go and stand in line without even knowing what's at the end of that line. Because chances are, it's something that you'll be able to buy that you can then trade for something else.
Coupons? We had coupons. I remember I
that's
had
later.
to carry.
Actually,
or is
that
later?
had to be 90s.
I think that's later. My mom was born in 1938, so she grew up, like in the 50s. She was like a teenager in the 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way later. I don't remember coupons, but they were already in Canada by that point.
Going to get bread, I had like a coupon for 2 pieces of bread.
Then later they totally stopped working and we played with them as kids, the coupons. It was crazy because if it was just enough, I mean, it was all controlled by communism, but just enough, whatever the coupons you get, you can't get anything else, whatever you have. It says bread, you get bread. That's all.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, butter if they have butter. Okay, question. Did you feel any different growing up in Canada? Did you feel different because you were an immigrant? Did you...
I always had a pride about the fact that I wasn't Canadian, and I don't mean that because I didn't feel patriotic or appreciative to Canada. But as a kid growing up, you want to feel special and you want to feel like you're you're a little, I guess, exotic almost. And so to me, I always grew up saying that I was Russian because even though I was born in Ukraine, I actually spoke Russian because at the time it was Soviet Union. So there was no delineation between Ukraine and Russia when I was there.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people used to say, "Hey, I'm Russian," because it was all former Soviet Union. Right?
Nobody in my community growing up, but I grew up in a very Russian-speaking community, and if I had to guess, probably half or three quarters were from Ukraine. But we all said we were Russian. I only started referring to myself as Ukrainian, quite frankly, after the war.
Right.
After the war started, because then I had to make
you had to identify yourself.
Right.
I had to make that distinction. But then I always follow up by saying, so I was born in Ukraine and my wife was born in Russia.
Yeah.
And so then
do people ask you, do you fight about it?
People do ask me, but
then you guys are also Jewish too, so
we're also Jewish. There's a lot of stuff going on, but no, I mean, to us, we're both so far removed from both. I'm so far removed from Ukraine. I have no family there. I have no history there. And Valeria is very far removed from Russia. She left when she was, I think, 1.5 years or 2 years old.
Oh, that's when they moved to...
They moved to Israel. Yeah, they moved to Israel.
Russia. She was so little.
Yeah, so they moved in 92. So Valeria was born in 1990, and then they moved in 1992 because it got very dangerous
And
there.
what year did she move to Canada?
She moved to Canada. So she moved to Canada when she was 20.
20, wow.
So 2010.
Her English is great. Did she speak English when she moved?
So Valeria, since the age of 14, she had left Israel and she was traveling for about 5-6 years, modeling. Mm-hmm. So she lived in various English-speaking countries, and she's been speaking, and she watched Friends.
Kind of like you. You were 13 when you came to us.
Yeah, I was 13. The reason why I asked about your mom, if it was an upgrade, because I clearly remember an upgrade. I remember we were on welfare, but I remember opening up a fridge and our cousins stuck it up, and I was like the land of amazing freedom.
So yeah, I think it was, my grandfather, so my grandparents on my dad's side, they came to Canada afterwards. We were living in a city called Calgary, and they came afterwards. And sorry, you love Calgary?
We love Calgary.
Yeah,
it's right next to Banff.
To Banff, yeah.
of Banff.
That's where you guys live?
Yeah, I was there between the ages of 3 and 11.
Oh,
That's so beautiful.
So talking about
Sorry.
the upgrade, no, it's okay. Talking about the upgrade. So when my grandfather and my grandmother came a couple of years later to join us, I remember my grandfather. He would go every single day to the supermarket across the street, and it was a celebration for him. Like he
Yeah, you
started.
can get anything.
He could get anything, and every day he would go across the street. He would have a full shopping cart, a kalaska, you know,
Yeah.
full, and then he would walk back. And then I remember it clearly because I spent a lot of time. They lived in like a home for seniors, and they had a tiny little apartment, right? And then he would sit down and he would spread all of the producte, all of the items
Foods,
that he had bought, and he had the receipt, and he would put his glasses, and he took a pen, and he's like. And he would mark it off, you know, because he was so used to.
He didn't trust the system.
He didn't trust them, so
Oh
he
my
would,
gosh.
and then he would mark it
Yes.
off. He would mark, and then what he would do is he would take everything, and he would. My dad bought him a huge freezer, like a freezer you put on the floor.
Like a standing freezer.
Yeah, and so he just put everything in the freezer. So constantly, this freezer was constantly full, and you know he'd be, and all of
Because
the
he
money
was
that he would
worried.
get from like social services, because they weren't working, they
Yeah.
were seniors,
Right.
and they got social services, like not a lot, but all of that money he would spend on food, and he would put it in the freezer. And growing up,
Just in
I never understood
Yeah.
why, because I grew up in Canada, I didn't get it, and then I figured it out later in life. It's that he was always scared that eventually the supermarket would just say, "That's it, we're out of food."
Yeah.
That's
Right?
true. That's
Yeah.
true. Actually, it's funny because when we first came to US, my parents were counting all the produce that were going through the checkout to make sure they don't trick us. And I would say, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, no, they're probably trying to trick us. So we still have that mentality that everybody is going to try to trick you, and that's true. That's how it was when we were growing up.
I think we have a little bit of an opposite mentality though, because we're like, I'm such a like
Optimist?
no. I'm definitely an optimist as a personality, but like in general, I don't keep anything. Like my mom keeps
minimalist.
everything.
You're
Minimalist, yes.
yeah.
Like she still has the rugs she brought from Ukraine because she just maybe
That's
she doesn't
true,
anymore.
she
But
does.
we've been here for 30 years,
Right.
and she's just holding on to it. And I'm like, Mom, you'll never use it. Or like I bought her a new castrulka, and she's like, well, I will hold on to the old. I'm like, you don't need it. Get rid of it. I just get rid of everything. And she holds on to everything. So it's probably also like part of the Soviet
Yeah.
Union.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
That's
getting
funny.
too deep into Soviet
No, this is
Union.
actually
We could do a
interesting.
whole
It's good,
podcast
it's
about
good.
it.
Okay, so I'm actually super interested in this. So I know when we came to US, we have this Slavic community that we're in. There are like a bunch of Ukrainians and Russians, and like actually when I came over, all the Ukrainians, I felt like, wow, they speak such a different Russian dialect. Later on, it turned out to be like all of them are Ukrainians. I'm like the only Russian one there. But when you guys came to Canada, was there a Slavic speaking community?
Yeah.
Was like
Well, so in Calgary, when we got to Calgary, there was just like a few of us. So it was a really small group of people.
Okay.
There's, I don't know, maybe 10 families.
oh, okay.
And so we all kind of knew each other. We all lived not too far from each other, but kind of still scattered throughout the city. My uncle eventually came. He came with my grandparents a couple of years later. And so it was just a very tight community, very tight. But then when we moved to Toronto, when I was 11 years old, we moved into like the heart of, it's like the Avenue Z, if you know Avenue Z in Brooklyn, where that's where, you know, all of the like the Russian speaking community is.
Well,
It
the
was
Brighton Beach.
like the
you said
Brighton
it.
Beach, yeah.
Okay.
So it was like a miniature version of that in Canada because there's a very large Russian speaking population. And then also, I mean, Russian speaking Jewish people came first.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And and then you know Russian Christians came, and
Yeah.
you know various faiths came, and you know oddly enough, I was so ignorant growing up from the ages of like 11 to 18.
Yeah.
I honestly thought that Russian was the kind of the official language of the Jews, because I had never met anybody who spoke Russian who wasn't Jewish, and I remember the first time I did, I was like, that's peculiar. You're not Jewish? How's that even possible? Right?
That's
And so,
funny.
yeah, so I grew up. And then afterwards, like, you know, then after the age of like, you know, 18, it was this, you know, fairly, you know, large and steady immigration of Russians from various faiths. And I think my world really opened up because I have this affinity for the Russian speaking community.
Yeah.
And so it's great. And I felt like, being in Canada was one thing, and having, you know, friends who are Canadian, I always gravitated to people who speak Russian. So now the diversity of the different cultures of the Russian speaking
Right.
cultures opened up to me.
Yeah.
And so that's, you know, And that actually culminated eventually into these great friendships that I have with people in Russia, that, you know, to this day, and I love them, and they're not Jewish, and then, but it's awesome. And we traveled a couple of times to Moscow to meet
You
with
did?
them.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was great. We haven't in a while, and then, you know, after kind of everything went down, I don't think they had as much ability to travel to the United
Yeah,
States.
I saw Valeria's thing, how she went to Russia with her mom. That was
So
really emotional.
yeah,
And
so she went to Russia with her mom, and she met her biological dad for the first time and the only time. She's never seen him after that since. But yeah, she met him. So that's like a whole story with her mom.
everybody needs to watch that story. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube.
It's going to be in
And
the book.
oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That is cool. Valeria's doing the book.
Valeria's doing book. Yeah,
That is cool. I think I saw a brief story. I'm glad that she's doing that. She has a lot to share.
Yeah.
She's a smart girl. Okay, sorry, we're distracting
so that
you.
culture, going back to it, do you feel like it helped you, or was it more like suppress your abilities? Because the reason why I'm asking you is growing up in this Slavic community in US is both a great thing because you have so much support, but also in a way it limits you, because for us, the community that we were in, 80% of the people are in construction. The other 20% is probably doing truck driving, and almost as if like, what
This
do you
is
want
the
to be?
second wave of immigrants,
Yeah.
not your wave.
Not your
Yeah,
wave,
yeah.
right? I feel like your wave are like bankers and businessmen, or I don't even know. But we have like a percent of people that do like wedding photography. Okay, that's
Yeah.
maybe another industry. And did you have that limiting factor, like that like, hey, you know, just I don't know, or
A limiting factor in what way? Just feeling I had to kind of conform
Like, you have-
professionally into.
right, like conform into like a couple careers, like either be a doctor or a
No, my father had this like fantasy of me being a dentist. That was like his thing. He just, my whole childhood, he kept telling me I should be a dentist, which I had zero interest in. No, I never felt that. I don't know. It's strange. I never, whenever I looked at what our community was doing, and you know, there were a lot of lawyers and accountants, a lot of personal injury law firms up in Canada. Yeah.
Okay,
My
yeah.
brother-in-law, Valeria's
We had those.
Valeria's brother. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, no, I never felt any pressure. Like for me, I always kind of did my thing, and I was always like, culturally, I've always been, and I continue to be a bit of a hybrid between, kind of, you know, North American and, you know, kind of
I see.
from that side, like from the East, simply because, I was raised by parents who lived through,
Yeah.
know, that
Okay,
era.
I think another, like, going off of your question, I think the limited belief, I'll explain why I think it can be impactful in our lives too. We lived in Seattle. We had a beautiful home in Seattle. We could have lived in that home forever. Like, I thought we were in our dream home. Like, I waited for a year for our railing to be done specific way because we were in our dream home.
Gotcha.
Then one day we were like, let's go see Nashville. We go see Nashville and become obsessed with Nashville. And we moved 3 months later.
Nice.
Our dream home that we were in, or like we could have lived there forever. And it was not an expensive home, but it was like our dream home. We get to Nashville and now we have a beautiful house. We have a beautiful life. I think if we stayed where we stayed, we would have been still in the same house. My mom would be still like, oh, you have this beautiful life. We were like living a comfortable, beautiful life. But like when we came to Nashville, the beautiful life, we saw no limit. Because
Right.
there was nobody around us. Like my sister, I didn't see how my sisters were living. I didn't have opinion on my parents. We were just like free birds. We could do whatever we wanted to do. Do you feel like being in your community, that's kind of like what I think what you're asking is like being like limited because they're saying like, it's enough, Gary, like you have success. Maybe that's enough.
Well, I was always told it's enough. My parents, look, my parents always told me it's enough. Not only did they tell me it's enough, whenever I tried doing something new, they would tell me it's a bad idea. You shouldn't do it. When I was working at one point, I had a job. I was making 30,000 Canadian dollars a year. And I started my first business, and that was in 1999. My first like official business. I did other stuff before
That's
that.
too much risk.
But my dad said, well, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
You make $30,000 a year.
Stable money.
You're gonna open a
I think the
business.
stability thing is what they like. Our parents are worried about
That was
stability.
their goal. See, my parents' generation, their goal was to survive. So
Yes.
to them, survival
Maybe
meant
that's
stability.
what it was.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe
yeah.
that's
They just wanted stability. They didn't. It didn't cross their minds that it's possible to live in excess. To them, excess means that every day you're going to be okay. Like you'll have what to eat. You're going to have a roof over your head. So that to them was success. Like I grew up in a situation where my father, he was always worried and he was always scaring us, like telling us we're going to run out of money. We're going to be in the streets.
Yeah.
And so I literally just grew up in that
Isn't that your
environment.
dad?
Same thing. That was my dad. And I'm sorry, that's your mom.
That is my mom.
And I get, you know, when I look, both my parents passed
Right.
away, and when I look back, I kind of get angry at the fact that they were so limited, like their attitude was so limiting,
Yes.
and they didn't encourage me to do more.
That's true.
But at the same time, I also understand them, because when you look at the level of oppression that they had to go through, and I mean, not to open up this like political can of worms, but
Right.
being Jewish in 1940s Soviet Union was
Yeah.
a bad thing.
Oh,
And
it
the
is.
reason why is because when World War II happened,
Yeah.
obviously 6 million Jews were killed, but
Right.
20 million Soviets were killed too.
Right.
And that's not
Yeah.
that's something a lot of people don't talk about.
Right.
And the fact is that when my parents both got back from, they both survived. They were in hiding. My mom was, they were children, they were infants. My mom was 4, my dad was 2. So when they came back, Jewish people just weren't treated very well in the Soviet Union, in all parts of the Soviet Union,
Right.
because the kind of common people in the Soviet Union blamed the Jews for the Holocaust, or they blamed the Jews for the war, and they
didn't know
blamed
that.
the Jews also for the 20 million
See, that's
Soviets who
not,
died.
That's interesting.
Really?
That was not because I think we grew up as Christians. Jews are like very important to Christians
no,
because they
that's-
feel like they're the chosen people. And so my grandma has stories where they were hiding Jews, and like they would like
And
make
there was definitely a
So
cohort
I never
of people
heard
like
that version of it,
Yeah.
but we didn't live in a city. We grew
That's
up in a small
crazy.
town.
Yeah.
I never
did not
even
know
connected
that.
that.
So I mean, but it was systematic in the sense that when my mother finished high school and she applied to go to institute, to university,
yeah.
they gave her a letter back saying, "You're Jewish, we won't take you."
See, that happened to Christians too, because you
sure.
were Stunde, that's what they would call you.
Is it?
Yeah, and they, like my sister wanted to be a doctor, they didn't let her.
Well,
She
yeah,
had to
my
be a
parents were
cook.
denied education too.
And this was in the 90s, Gary. This was not
Terrible,
like,
terrible.
in the 90s, they were not allowed. Like my sister, that's 9 years older than me, she could not be a teacher or the doctor. She wanted to be a nurse.
Right.
Because she was a Christian, so they sent her to go to cooking school. Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
Like 90s. That's
Crazy.
so
Yeah.
recent.
But just to get back to like what was I saying in terms of feeling that kind of
Survival?
No, I was like, that's why my parents, like, for them growing up in that environment, being Jewish after World War II,
They're scared.
they're just, everything was scary. That's the same reason my grandfather would like check the bill, count it, and put everything in the freezer, because even though we lived in Canada and there was no chance that we were going to run out of food, he was planning for that, for that scenario. So I used to get mad at my parents for not supporting me when I wanted to do kind of, when I wanted to
Your
do
own
these
thing.
things, when I wanted to excel and I wanted to have a business, or I wanted to do more or make more, be more, open my mind. They were all just like, "What are you doing?" And so it was hard for them because they grew up, they were there till their mid-30s. And so they were already fully formed adults. And then they came to Canada.
What do you tell your kids now?
Sorry?
What do you tell your kids?
I tell my kids that
You could be a
everything.
president.
Well, they can't be the president because they were born in this country, but they can be governors. But to me, I don't know that like a political position is the key to success. But with my kids, like we really adapt like an unlimited mindset. And Valeria and I, like they see what we do. Like they're deep into it. We communicate with them about it a lot. So to our kids, there's no limits, and I'm pushing them probably more than I should, but. Like I make them work out. I make them. I try
That's cool.
I try to do as much as I can.
It's
Very different than what my dad did. And again, I'm not mad at my father. It's just that he grew up in that, and his
No, of
goal
course.
was just for me to survive.
And I also tell Tim, I also tell you, like yesterday we were talking about this, like we're trying to figure out who's the first generation immigrants. And it's like, so
Well,
I feel like we're in between. Our kids are totally Americans.
Yeah.
They were born here.
Well,
they lived here. I still have an accent.
they're first generation. You're not. They were born here, so
Yeah,
they're the first generation.
but we're trying to
First generation Americans or first generation
immigrants. But my parents are. Well, we're trying to figure. We're googling it. It's funny. But like then. My parents are still Ukrainian, like very Ukrainian. They have all that like baggage and everything. I have to be the mother to my American children, and I also have to be a daughter to my very Ukrainian mom. It's like it's such a tricky situation. Sometimes you can't please both.
Listen, you're that's huge. But in general, when you're in a situation where you're taking care of 3 generations, it's tough. You're taking care of yourself, your parents, and your kids.
Yeah, and everybody's thinking differently.
It's a tough. It's definitely a tough period of life. I mean, I went through it. My parents, they both passed away now, but yeah.
You have to please everybody.
That's crazy. Man, I think you just cracked the egg. I think that's what it is. There's just that fear. Because my parents retired in 50s. My dad shortly passed. That sucked. But they retired early. but he was always scared of finances. And that fear was passed on to me where he was like, hold on to this secure job. And that whole fear, I think it kind of like
You still have that.
kept me grounded in a
I think
Yeah.
I think all men do.
Oh, really?
I think women less, and not to sound sexist, but like I think women less because I think that I believe that men spend more of their time thinking about finances.
Providing?
Yeah, I mean it's just biologically we're built that way. We're built to be.
I'm like, we'll
providers.
figure it out. My
That's a
parents
good
didn't
thing.
speak English and they
That's a
figured
good
it out. We'll figure it
But
out.
we're also built to be protectors too. It's
good.
interesting. Valeria and I had a bit of an argument yesterday because
Yeah.
we were talking. We were having a breakfast with a friend, and
Yeah.
I was I'm very diligent when it comes to security. And Valeria was just kind of criticizing me, and I didn't say anything. She did in front of her friend, and I wasn't crazy about her tone because I felt it was almost like, and so it was just almost like not mocking me.
Sarcastic a little
It
bit.
was a little
I love
sarcastic.
picking at you too.
Yeah. And so
It's my love language.
and so
It is a
and
lot.
so we were back at the house. I told her, I go, just so you know, I'm a little bit upset with you because I think that as a woman, instead of being appreciative about the fact that I think about this all the time and I'm constantly taking action to secure you and the kids and myself, and it gives you the ability to to be light and free and walk around
Yeah.
wherever you want, knowing that everything's taken care of from that perspective. And instead of being appreciative of that, you're kind of and she goes, that's not what I meant. And she tried to back out of it. She said, that's not what I meant. I said, what did you mean? She said, I don't want you to stress about it. And that's what I
agree
meant.
with Valeria. Actually, so from Valeria's
don't
perspective,
believe it.
I'm not Valeria. So like, I'm going to talk to you as a friend. It gets annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
It gets annoying to a point where like, what the freak? Let's just chill out. Like life is so great. Gary, I went to an house for a bathroom in Ukraine. Like life, we're in 4 seasons right now. Life,
No, absolutely.
like it's incredible. And if I have to go stay at Hilton, I'll be totally fine at Hilton.
No, but that's
I would
not
not
about,
like it,
sorry,
but
we're
like,
talking about security or finances?
I don't know.
Because those are two different things.
He's talking about financial security.
No, I'm talking about security. I'm sorry, I was talking about security in general.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I was talking about security in general.
He's talking about
I was
financial
talking about
security.
like the security measures that we take from having
safety.
safety and security from having
Okay.
a family that's somewhat in the public eye,
see.
the precautions we take with our kids,
see.
security
I
systems.
see. He's talking about finances. He's talking about.
Sorry, I kind of I crossed that.
I
Sorry,
get
I
it.
apologize.
Yeah.
So just to provide additional context, that's what I meant by
Okay.
when she was criticizing the fact that I'm so serious about security. Like
Oh.
I'm always watching what's going on in terms of world events. I'm watching like our property,
see.
our personal security, depending on where we go and what we do. So that type of security.
So you're like constantly checking your cameras.
We have people checking the
Well,
cameras, but
that actually, I like what you mean. Like it's not appreciated up until something happens, and they're like, okay.
Yeah.
But until then, you're like, you look weird.
yeah,
What are
but
you doing?
that's what I meant. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of precautions. I think that every father has that where he's constantly thinking about security. So like at night, I'm the one locking the doors.
Oh yeah.
That's
We have
makes
6
sense.
doors
Makes
that go
sense.
outside of our
Yeah.
house, and he's like, "Can you check at least one?"
Yeah, I'm so. Next house, we're gonna have like the sensors built in because I'm there's no way I'm gonna be walking around the whole house.
And we have less doors too.
Yeah.
We designed it with less
But
doors.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It could be that as well. That gets me always worried about finances and
He
everything.
went to Turkey to get his hair done.
Nice.
You shared it already.
That's great. I heard it's the best place in the world for that.
Surprisingly, a lot of their tech is ahead of US, which is mind blowing.
Yeah.
But I had to close all the doors. It's a lot of work. So I appreciate it. You closing all the doors.
Yeah, thank you. What language do you guys speak at home?
English.
English? Oh, you didn't. Your kids don't speak any other
I
language.
wish, you know what? No, our eldest speaks Russian. Not as well as I'd like him to, but he does because grandma speaks Russian with him.
Oh, that's cool.
Valeria's mom.
That's nice.
Does she like only speak Russian to kids? Oh, that's great.
How
I
old
can
is
remember it.
She only speaks
How
Russian in
old are your
general.
kids?
She
Oh.
speaks a little bit of English, but she mostly speaks Russian.
That
Our
is so
children
good for kids.
our boys are 12, 10, and 6.
Oh, okay. So they're not very
Wow.
little.
Is he going to middle school?
I mean, Jake is in grade 6 now, so he's going to be in grade 7 next year.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Dang.
That's
Okay.
cool.
You guys are ahead of us. You said your boys
High
are
school.
15 and 17.
High
That's
school.
Almost
wild.
done. We're almost done.
Yeah.
Our
We're
oldest
Are,
is
are the boys almost as tall as you?
Yeah.
getting
Very
there.
picture.
Getting there.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I see our boys getting taller, and it's just like, wow.
It's nice because I bet she's a proud mom because you have 3 big shoulders right in
Yeah,
front of
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Speaking of security,
Yeah.
she feels secure. What are you looking for? Oh, there are pictures.
Yeah, that's it. They're big guys.
They're
That's
big
it.
guys. They're so funny. They keep on flexing all the time. Look at them. Look at them. They work out and they always like
Good.
flex and like they copy each other. They're hilarious.
It's good that they work out.
they
So
do.
how were you able to get them into working out?
I think they look at their parents.
Yeah.
I think that's the
And they
biggest
see that you guys
motivation.
train and they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think
walk. I don't really go to the gym as much right now,
Yeah.
but we constantly try
I've
to.
been working out for 10. I've been working out
Gary's
for 10.
like, you walk. That doesn't count. I walk a lot.
She had the weighted vest. She
I was
had the
gonna say
weighted
try a
vest.
weighted vest.
Yes.
I got a weighted vest. It's great.
I do weighted vest and I walk a lot. Like I can walk 7 miles
think
easy,
that-
like daily. It
Amazing.
feels good. And Tennessee heat is similar to here, so I feel like I'm walking in the sauna.
Yeah.
Elbows dripping. I'm like, oh dang.
I'm used to it by now.
Oh yeah.
But part of the way to get kids, I think, going is to move into the right community.
That's true.
To surround yourself with the right people.
Yes.
Because no matter how much you tell them, if their people around them don't do that, they're gonna think we're weird.
Mhm.
But if all the neighbors do it,
Mm-hmm.
then
I agree. No, it's really important.
Yeah, they're part. We have a clubhouse, so they go with all of their friends. So they're, like
Amazing.
they just like kind of it's a thing. Like
Yeah.
all the high school kids are like it's one bus. They all go together. It's fun for them, so they hang out together.
couple things. So
Let's
one
get
of the
into it.
things. No. There's one more thing. One of the things that I really appreciate you guys. I think very very unique. You and Valeria work together,
Mhm.
and that
Oh,
that
yeah.
we don't see that very often. And you guys been doing it since what, the beginning?
Since
Beginning, yeah.
2017.
Wow. How
quite
do
a
you
while.
how do you? I'm just curious. How do you like describe the day? Like who wakes up first? Who takes care of the kids? Like how do you
Wow.
guys make it work?
Who wakes up? I mean, those are a lot of questions. Okay, so who wakes up first is typically me. I'm usually up at on the days that I go to the gym. I'm up at about 4:15,
Yeah.
and I'm in the gym at 5.
What time do you go to bed?
Jeez.
Anywhere from like 9:30 to 11. I
And
need
you
to sleep
still
more.
get up at 4?
Yeah, I need to sleep more.
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm working on optimizing my sleep. I feel like I've dialed in my
Yeah.
my fitness. Nutrition's getting a lot better,
Right.
and I have to really attack sleep.
You need your
Yeah.
sleep. And
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, I typically wake up. Valeria, her gym is at 6, so I'm in the gym for 5. She's in the gym for
So
6.
both of you guys start your day with the gym.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
either the gym or like I'm in the gym 3 days a week with a trainer, and then on the days that I'm not, I either go for a walk with my weighted vest for an hour,
Perfect.
or it's not really exercise per se, but I go for a ride on my motorcycle.
Oh, okay. I was
yeah.
gonna say
That's
the
like mental
weighted-
health. That's
yeah.
really great.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely,
amazing.
That's
absolutely.
different.
Yeah,
And maybe at the end.
As long as you're safe.
as safe as can be, as safe as possible. But you were asking kind of how we work together.
Yeah.
I mean, look, for us, it's the way that we work together. It's fairly simple. We want to win.
Uh-huh.
That's our goal. Our goal is to win. So our goal is to succeed at everything that we do. So knowing that we have the same goal and acknowledging that we have the same goal, then what it comes down to is how do we achieve that goal? Then what you do is you remove ego from it. Because when we have a win, whether it was my idea or my initiative or Valeria's, it doesn't matter, right? The goal is the win.
Once you have the win, but along the line, what do you do if you have disagreements?
We don't have disagreements, and the reason we don't have disagreements is coming back to the fact that we have the same goal and we have the same goal in mind. So by having that same goal in mind for the win, whatever that win is, whatever we're working on in that particular
Yeah.
moment, we want to get to the best outcome. So getting to the best outcome, whether I'm the one with the knowledge to get it done or she's the one with the knowledge to get it done, whoever has the knowledge or whoever executes, it doesn't matter. I don't have an ego about it. So if,
You
let's
don't-
say, for example, I have one idea how to get it
Right.
done. Valeria has another idea how to get it done. We discuss it and we collectively decide to do it her way, and then we win. I'm just as happy
Yeah.
as if the scenario would have been that it was my idea that got us to the win.
Well, like
I don't care.
But what if you have arguments? Like
would-
We
you
don't.
Natalia and I are both strong
very
personality.
passionate about.
Yes, and we're very passionate. So what we ended up doing is we ended up splitting our roles. Like
Yeah.
we have the same goals, which I think is important, right? You
Yeah.
don't want it to be taking things different directions. But we have
I think we have different strengths.
different strength, yeah. And so I do the back end, she does the front end of the things. Like she's the face of the company. I do the technical side, and that way, kind of, we can make our own decisions. You just do everything together, or
We do. It's kind of like it's all over the place. Like in any given workday, we probably spend, I don't know, we don't talk more than 20, 30 minutes.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
Wow.
there's not a lot of overlap. A lot of our meetings are usually after hours.
yeah.
Or like in the morning, we were up this morning at 5:30 a.m. and we talked about business for like 20 minutes and kind of what's the plan and what's going on. And right? So that's it. And then we have a whole other team of decision makers,
Yeah.
kind of at varying
Degrees.
aspects of our business. So yeah, it's just like an ongoing thing.
What happens when you're burnt out? Like you have this busy schedule.
We rest.
You rest.
But I don't
What's
understand
the
why
difference?
it overcomplicates things. Yeah, we just rest. I don't.
How do you recharge? Like, what's your rest?
I ride my bike.
Okay, what does Valeria do for rest?
She goes to play paddle, or she hangs out with her friends, or she gets facials or massages,
That's
or
cool.
she takes a trip. She reads a book. She's constantly reading something, so she loves all of that.
Okay.
She loves spending time with the kids, and I have to admit more so than I do, because sometimes like kids can be annoying, right? Even my own.
You know, I think for your like for boys, once they get older,
Yes.
it's gonna switch. It's so annoying. Like Valeria, hear me out. If she ever hears this, this is your chance to cuddle with them. Like our youngest, he's 15. I like came to our bed in the morning and late. I got close to him. He's like, I prefer that you don't do that. So Valeria has a small window, and then you and the boys will be just together, and she'll just be tagging along.
Yeah. No,
That's what's gonna happen.
it's already starting to happen that our 12 and our 10-year-old are, they're starting to get more interested in kind of the stuff that I do. But a lot of the stuff that I do, they can't do. Like I'm not going to let them ride motorcycles.
Right.
That's not happening. But yeah, no, we definitely feel it. I mean, I tell our 12 and our 10-year-old, I'm like, I still kind of hug and kiss them, and they're already starting with their bullshit. And I'm just like, I said, look, this is going to happen one of two ways. Either I'm going to hug and kiss you, and you're going to fight me, or I'm going to hug and kiss you, and you're going to be okay with it. But the outcome is that you're getting hugged and kissed for the rest of your life. I don't care how big you are, how big your beards
I love
are.
that. I should
Doesn't
say it to
matter.
our kids.
That's one way to instill it.
I'm very physical with them. I'm very.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's
I am too, but I'm like, there's a moment that they're like, I prefer you don't do that. I'm like, okay, fine.
it's a
Yeah,
very,
but I tell them I don't care about your preferences. I tell them I made you, so I literally
You own them.
I literally own you guys. Like and they're like, no, I own myself. I'm like, no, you have kids, you'll own them. You belong to me.
I love that. Okay, I wanted to talk to you a lot about the creator method, and I know it's gonna be like this is your chance to give a pitch. And here's why I want you to share what you guys do, because I have a lot of we have Mom's Dish. There's a lot of moms that follow me, and a lot of moms feel like this is where it started for me too. Where like I felt like constantly I love to cook. That's why we have the blog. I just like the way I relax, the way I unwind, recharge. I make vareniki. And that's like, to me, it's just golden time. I could just make vareniki for a day and I'll feel so happy.
I could eat vareniki. We'll get along.
Next time you're in Nashville, come over. I'll make
pleasure.
vareniki.
With pleasure.
But so that's why I have the Mom's Dish. But like a lot of moms feel this thing of like, I'm washing dishes, I'm cleaning, I'm watching the kids, another bed, I'm doing the same thing tomorrow. And a lot of them want their own thing. And I think a lot of them, I have a lot of questions regarding like the cringe and everything else, but tell us what you do with Creator Method. Like, how do you empower? And it's mostly women, right?
Yeah, it's mostly women. We have right now we have about 325 members. I think 3 are men and the rest are women.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, you're right about women in particular wanting to do something. And right now what we're finding is the trend with social media is that women are really finding a lot of opportunity in social media to become whatever you want to call it, influencers, creators.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of fluid now in terms of the terminology. So yeah, it truly is a massive opportunity. To your point, a lot of them, I think what holds them back is the fear of what other people will think of them, especially in the early stages. And with the people, with the members that we work with, a lot of it comes to mindset. And so a lot of this, like a lot of the tutorials that we do and the live lessons and the live events, we really do talk about that mindset. So a lot of it is that. But yeah, like in general, I think it's a massive opportunity. We're seeing just a huge upswing in terms of people becoming creators. Especially women, because it is such it just makes a lot of sense. They work on their own hours, on their own time. And
they can still be both. Can be
they
whatever
can do it all. And the wonderful thing about it is that they're documenting what they're already doing. And so
That's true.
a lot of the times when we're talking with them and I see that like the volume of content they're putting out is fairly low, and I see they're always well dressed. And so I asked them, I said, how many days a week are you intentional with your outfit? And they're like, so 7 days a week. I'm, even when I go to the gym, my shorts match my top, whatever. Yeah, I'm like, where are your 7 outfit of the day videos? Where are the videos of you documenting and explaining why and how you put your outfit together? where are the tags of the brands that, you know, where's all of that? Or you're into cooking. How many days a week are you cooking? Where
Yeah.
it's like, it's something special.
Or like people love watching people clean. If you love cleaning,
we have,
I could watch somebody clean all day. I hate cleaning,
Yeah.
but I could watch somebody
I should
clean all day. It
watch.
makes me so happy.
right. So yeah, I think there's just a massive opportunity. Like we're seeing it. We're seeing again, specifically women. I think that when Valeria started it, she was kind of, I don't want to say she fell into it, because she very intentionally started and she became a creator, and she started kind of, you know, documenting, and it was
What
just
made
her
her start?
interests.
That's just gonna ask.
She look,
Because you can actually, we never asked him about his career. Like you could share a little bit. We talked
Well,
about so much about immigration, but you
Yeah,
had
we can.
successful career.
Yeah, I mean, I've
and
done.
Valeria didn't need to start anything.
No,
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, talk about what made Valeria start. You guys were well off, right? Like
Yeah.
you sounded like you guys were doing things well.
we're okay. Yeah.
You had a successful career. Do you want to share quickly what you did?
It would take, like, for me to really share it, would take a while, because when you get to my age, it sometimes
There's a
takes a
lot.
long time. But just kind of like, you know, high level. I had my first kind of online business. I was an employee in digital starting in 1996. And in 1999, I started my own company, which was an online restaurant directory. Did that for quite some time, for close to a decade. And then I had a daily deal site, which competed with Groupon, where we raised 12 months after launching that, we raised $32 million on a $100 million valuation. We scaled that to be a 400-person company.
That's crazy.
Then we had a viral news website, which had 200 million
After
visitors.
you exited that one,
Yeah.
you did the okay.
Yeah, we had a viral news website that had we had 200 million visitors a month. We did that for a couple of years.
Like 200 million
What happened to that
visitors.
website?
That's
What happened to that was that Facebook. So we were working with the Facebook Instant Article department to distribute the content through about 1,000 different Facebook publishers, and there was something called Cambridge Analytica. It was this big scandal.
I remember that.
Yeah. So there was a Cambridge Analytica scandal, and Zuckerberg got called to Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
And when he came back, we got a call from Facebook, and they said, "Come to our office. We need to meet." So we flew from Toronto to New York, and we met. And they said, "You guys have to stop." And I said, "Why do we have to stop?" And they said, "Well, you know, Mark just got back, and at this point, 20% of Facebook traffic is going through your domain, and we can't have a single entity with that much, you know, influence over our
Going
entire."
to what? Wait, going to Facebook domain or out of Facebook's domain?
Going out of Facebook into
Oh,
our
okay, but they
onto
probably
our
didn't want
domain.
you to take traffic from. They want people to sit on Facebook too.
We
That's
were
how they make money.
we were monetizing it through their ad network. So we were initially monetizing it through Google AdSense, and then
I
they came to
see.
us and said, "Hey, like."
Because they don't want now. They don't want people to leave the Facebook platform.
They don't want people to face,
Yeah.
but I mean, you can still link. Like you
You
still.
can link, but the post that you link, they kind of.
They got a lot less reach. When we were doing that business, we had people. We had 1,000 Facebook pages sharing the links with the articles that we created.
I see.
So that's what happened. So they just told this guy, "Sorry, we have to
So
wind
like,
it down."
close it overnight.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
That's crazy.
And what
Whatever.
happened from there?
No, nothing. I don't know.
Where did you go after that? Like, what was?
Around that time, we received. I received the wire, we received the wire in mine and Valeria's bank account. I didn't know where it came from, and so I asked Valeria. I was like, "Do you know anything about this?" I didn't even know that she knew where we banked. She was 26 years old. She was like, you know, I was taking care of the finances.
Yeah.
And I said, "Do you know what this is about?" And she said, "Yeah, this probiotic company paid me to feature their product in one of my YouTube videos."
And she negotiated a deal.
She did the whole thing herself. Apparently, before that, she was doing deals for like a few $100 here and there. And I just didn't notice that coming in, but I noticed the $10,000, and she said, "Yeah, this is what happened." She had gone. Okay, so I'll just back up. When Valeria and I got married, I didn't even think about what she'd do for a living. I don't know. We were just getting married. I don't know. We met, we fell in love, and we got married. It didn't like I wasn't sitting there thinking, okay, what is she gonna do for work? I don't know.
Did you have kids right away?
I mean, we had not right away. 9 months after the wedding, we had our first child.
Okay, pretty much right away.
Yeah, no, we got pregnant on the honeymoon.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We had our first, and then a year
So
and a
yeah,
half
she
after
got busy pretty quick.
I mean, we're always busy, but yeah.
No, like having babies right away. I was just thinking, like for career, like if you're for a few years, you're sitting, like what would you do?
I was already. We got married. I was 39.
Yeah.
She was 21.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, when you say career, whose career?
No, her career. I'm talking about her career.
Well, she was already a model.
No, I know, but you said you were wondering what she would do. You were not sure
I
what
said
she
I
would do.
wasn't wondering what she would do.
Oh, yeah.
I said it
you weren't
didn't. It
wondering.
didn't even cross my mind what she would do for a living.
Oh, okay.
Like I didn't think about it. Like when we met and I
Did
proposed.
she say
or-
what she wanted to do?
We never even talked about it.
Oh, okay.
It was just not a thing. I don't know. Like in my mind, she would do whatever she wanted to do. I never.
Did she start, like, when did she start her online?
So she then, after we had 2 kids, our first 2, she said, I'm really interested in nutrition. So I said, okay. She goes, I want to go to this local, community college for nutrition. I said, okay, go ahead. So she did. Like, I didn't really think much, to be honest, I didn't think much of it because, I wanted her to do whatever she enjoyed doing. And if that's what she enjoyed doing, I said, cool, go do that. So she did that. She took a couple of clients, like nutrition consulting, and she charged $100 for a consultation. And she did the consultation. She had, I think, 2 clients, and she said, I hate this.
Oh,
She said, I really hate it.
people don't follow through.
Well, I think that they were expecting to lose like
10 pounds in one day.
10, 20 pounds in like a week or something.
Yeah.
And so after she did that, and again, I wasn't really. I knew what she was doing, but my attention was really on kind of the stuff that I was working on. And then one day this money came in because what she decided to do is that the stuff that she was learning or that she had learned when she got her holistic nutrition diploma, she decided to take that and create YouTube videos.
Smart.
And so she started doing that. And then what happened is people on YouTube started asking, where did you get that that dress that you're wearing? And
People
she's
care about
like,
the dress more than the food.
Right. And so they asked about the dress, and then she told them where the dress is. And then she's like, okay, I'll put up photos on Instagram. And she would go in front of her garage door in the suburbs of Toronto in the middle of the winter with her little remote control for the camera. She bought a tripod for $15. She had her
pictures herself.
iPhone, the little remote control for 10, and with $45, she started taking pictures of herself.
That's amazing.
This is what's crazy. It's like you're talking about like the Groupon competitor success story, and then a year later it all fell apart, right?
No, not the group one, but
Groupon
the.
The Groupon fell apart, yeah.
Because-
so after we raised that money,
Oh, I thought you had an exit.
that was the exit.
Yeah.
That
Oh, that
32
was your
million.
exit. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you had an exit.
Groupon said no to Google's deal, and like a year later they tanked.
Yeah.
Everybody
The whole
apart.
industry tanked.
The whole
So
industry.
we raised that 32 million, and on that 32 million, part of it was an exit. So I was
Oh,
fortunate
okay.
to
I thought you
participate
sold
on
the
that.
It
company.
was right in time.
So I did. I sold it at that point
okay.
in that raise, and then we were supposed to have another, an exit after that. That didn't happen, and so that's when I created that viral news
I see.
website. And so then what happened was when that fell apart because of what happened with Cambridge Analytica, I was kind of in between stuff. I was like, okay, what do I do next? And then at that moment, that check for 10,000, that wire for 10,000 came in. I'm like, Larry, what are you doing?
Okay, so what were the next steps?
So the next steps, I said to her, first of all, I said, this is a business, and I believe that this is where all media is going. Media is going it's going peer to peer, meaning it's going between the brands and the individual. Like, I don't believe that all of these media companies are going to be around anymore. I think it's going to go directly like from the person to the brand.
Right.
So I believe that this is where it's all going. Can I partner with you on this as a business? And she says, I don't believe that this is a business. This is just like the thing that I'm doing. And I said, I really do firmly believe that this is a business. And if you're into it, like, I want to go all the way. Like, I want you to be a household name all over the world. And she goes, well, you're a lunatic, but what do you have in
Let's do
mind?
it.
And so I said to her, so then I asked her the question. I said, tell me about your day. Like, what are you doing all day long? And she said, I spend an hour in front of the camera, and I spend about 8 to 9 hours editing video. And I said, how do you know how to edit video? Right? Again, she's 26 years old. I didn't know that she knew any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, I went on YouTube and I did a search on how to edit video.
Yeah.
And to me back then, now it's kind of common because everybody kind of figures things out. But back then, I was shocked. I was just like,
You're
wow.
very
like,
impressed.
I was very impressed. I was like, you're a genius. I didn't realize that,
That's cool.
not only
I
are you
love that.
beautiful and charming and lovely, but you're also
She's
a
a
genius.
secret agent.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, I hit the lottery. I mean, I thought I hit the lottery just because what I had known about her to date, and then I hit the lottery again because she's a genius on top of everything else. And so I said, okay, let's do this. Let's hire a videographer. We're going to pay them a salary. And instead of being in front of the camera for an hour a day, you'll be in front of the camera for 4 to 5 hours a day. And for the other 3 to 4 hours a day, you're going to research your topic and you're going to become more knowledgeable about your subject matter so you can create a higher quality of content. The time in front of the camera will result in a higher volume. So we'll do both volume and quantity. Sorry, we'll do both volume and quality. And we'll increase both, and that will allow you to basically gain more audience members. You build the community faster and attract the attention of more brand partners, and we'll continue to monetize and we'll scale it from there. And her response to me was, what if we take this $10,000, hire this videographer? It's only good for about 2.5 months, and we don't make any more brand deals, and then we lost that money.
That's literally what every person would say.
Right. And so my response, but it's a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
Right? It's, and so when I looked at her, she said, what if we don't get enough brand deals to continue?
Yeah.
What if we just lose that $10,000? And I said to her, what if we don't? Like, what if we actually do get the brand deals and then we can continue? She's like, okay. Right. And so, but like at that point, like it wasn't our last money, you know what I mean? So it was like, if we'd lose it, we'd lose it. I was willing to take the risk. I thought it was a really good risk to take.
Yeah.
And she believed me, and she was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And that's what we did. And then kind of fast forward, we have a 20-person company, and
That's amazing.
we reach a couple 100 million people a month, and it's great.
So a lot of the times, I think it's very common. A lot of the times, husbands don't really, like, you have this spouse that is really interested in doing this thing. And like, I got lucky because Tim was just like, I was like, I want a website. He created the website. I wanted this. He created this.
Yeah.
Like, our blog started from like a Facebook group because a lot of moms were in this group. They were like, give me the recipes. And like, they would get lost in the group because it's just somewhere below. So it's like, we need a website for this. So you were very supportive in a
Naturally,
business.
we work together really well because I do now what I used to do before.
But you also had like a full-time job, and I was like, I need a website, and you helped me with the website. And I think it's like it's a blessing when you have a spouse that is so supportive. Like, what happens with a person that's like striving to do this, and then you have not supportive husband?
It's not common that the husbands are supportive.
It's not common.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
In my case, I happen to be in media already for quite some time. So to me, I just had a genuine interest for it, and I really believed in it, and I really believed in Valeria's talent. I really, and I.
So what do you tell your members?
I tell them, let me talk to your husband.
And what do you tell the husband?
So I'll back it up. So we were on a call with our members, and one of the members, because we do a weekly call with Creator Method, and one of the members, things get emotional at times, and one of the members put up her hand and she said, what do I do? Because my husband, he doesn't understand what I do, and he's not being supportive of me.
Right.
He's not being supportive. And I said, what? I said, okay, who else has a problem with their husband or boyfriend? And I see the whole screen. You know, Zoom, you have like all the little windows. Yeah. I see all the hands go up. I said, oh my God. I said, okay, next week, same time, same place. I want, when I log in, I want each square to have 2 people in it. I said, I want you to bring your husbands and boyfriends.
Did they show up?
Yeah, they showed up.
Oh, that's good.
And when we got on the call, I said, okay, guys, so first things first, we make a significant amount of money. It's like we do millions of dollars a year in revenue. Yeah. That's number one. So know that this is real. Yeah. That's the first thing. Because men, we're a little stupid, and men require an actual proof. Like we require like
physical.
Most men aren't visionaries in that sense. Most men are like, how do we establish revenue? How do we like, so they need to see the proof. So I provided them with that proof to tell them this is what the possibilities are. But I was also very clear to say that because we do these kind of numbers doesn't mean you will, but everybody who puts in the consistent effort and takes advantage of all the tools that are out there to become a creator will succeed. The only thing that'll be different is there'll be varying levels of success. Some will succeed at massive scale. Some will succeed. They'll be able to have income that they would have otherwise, had. Like, for example, an esthetician who was making $40,000 a year as a creator. She's one of our members, and she makes significantly more than that as a creator talking about aesthetics, right? So it's a massive opportunity. So I told them it's not a matter of will they be successful. They will be successful. It's just a matter of what level of success they'll have. The great thing about it is that replacing kind of average employment income is not very difficult. Yeah. And the the wonderful thing about it is like you're constantly you have a lottery ticket in your hand at any time, because at any time you can go viral and you can blow up and you can exponentially increase your income.
Yeah.
So that that's one thing. So the second thing that I told him is, I said, that's the first thing, is that here's the size of the opportunity, and the second thing I told him is that you guys should be ashamed of yourselves, because these are women who support who first of all, like, why did you marry this person if you're not going to support them? It's ridiculous, and the second thing is like, they support, like, these women, they support you when you want to do your crazy stuff, when you wanted to like quit your job and start a business or change your career or do something. So why aren't you supporting them? Why are they less than you?
I also think that, like, example, as a physician, she became a creator, but I also think every business, and maybe you can kind of tell me, and I also think that they could probably benefit from your service, is like every business needs a social page. Like, I want to see what the real estate agent is doing. I think so we have a friend in like our circle, and we're telling this person, like, you should do social, you should do this and this, and like, this was a male, and the wife comes over, is like, what are you gonna do there? I'm like, oh, she just like shrunk him in 2 seconds. And the guy was just like, you could see the shoulders go down, and he was just dissolving, and he's like, I'm not gonna be on social, because the wife was just like, you're a dummy, why would you go there? But his business would benefit tremendously.
Of course. So right now the statistics are there's about 20 million people who are actively trying to get scale on social media as kind of traditional influencers, as individuals. And then there's about 200 million businesses that are trying to get scale on social media, because they understand that from a business perspective, this is their top of funnel. This is how they get discovered. This is both how they get discovered and how they continue to maintain and nurture relationships with existing clients. We have a cohort of doctors who are Creator Method members.
That's cool.
And when I met with the first one who signed up, and she had 15,000 followers at the time. And I said, wow, like, I'm so, like, I was surprised that she was there. I'm like, we had met at our first event. She came to Miami for our event. And I said, yeah, how does this work for you? Like, thank you for joining us, but what's the premise of you being a member? And she said 75% of my new patients come from my social media.
Yes.
So now she's at 90,000 followers in under a year.
That's amazing.
Well, we just interviewed a real estate agent that 95% of her traffic comes from her social media page.
She has over 200,000 followers, and she started during COVID. And all she did is she shared beautiful houses in Nashville. And I have a friend that's a real estate agent. She's like, well, I'm not having any clients. I was like, go freaking walk every open house. Take your camera, go walk every open house. And it doesn't mean that you're showing it to a client, but it could show you so many beautiful houses.
Look, it's universal. And I say this often, is that social media is no longer something on the side. It's no longer something, it's an alternative to marketing. This is the mainstream method by which human beings communicate with each other for all things, whether it's entertainment or for business. So not doing it, if you don't do this, if you don't learn how to do this, then you will actually fall behind, and you will fall into the kind of a portion of society who didn't progress with it.
They got left behind.
They got left behind. So I'll make a kind of a comparison, is that back in the 90s, and the early 2000s, when I was selling essentially, internet presence to restaurants, local restaurants in Toronto, it took a long time for businesses, whether they were like restaurants or any other business, to understand that they have to have a website, like a basic website. And eventually they all came on board, because they saw, okay, well,
Joe next door has one.
This guy has it. I realized I need one, because where they realized it was where customers were saying, where's your website? How do I get your information? And so when that started happening, everybody got on board and made a website. The effort to create a website was and continues to be relatively minimal, meaning you do it one time, you construct it one time, you put it up, you can update it from time to time. There's not a lot that goes into it. So it's an essential, and it's like a standard now that everybody has to have. Now what's happened is Instagram, as an example, as one of the platforms, is its own internet. I don't look at it as an app. I look at it as its own separate internet.
It's a whole ecosystem.
Correct. And so now, the same thing that happened in the 90s and the 2000s, where everybody understood they have to have a website, everybody has to have an Instagram account.
I agree 100%. I just don't understand when people have any kind of business you have.
There's a difference, though, between what was happening with websites and what happens with Instagram. With websites, all you had to do was create a website once, update it from time to time, and it's done. The difference is with Instagram and with social media in general, you have to continue putting into it. It's not a one and done. It's a continuous evolution.
But it's a marketing budget or marketing energy that you put into it.
It is. But most people, like a realtor, for example, if we use a realtor as an example, back in that era, in the 90s and 2000s, my dad was a realtor, and it took a while for him to understand that he had to have a website. He had a website, and he actually attributed some business to it over time. And so you know, they understood that. Now a realtor understands, okay, I have to have social media, but what the hell do I do every day? And so that's what, you know, with Creator Method, that's what we talk about.
Yes.
Is we talk about what is the content. I talk a lot about situational content awareness. It's you know, it's figuring out what is content in the moment, like kind of almost having like an always on mentality when it comes to content. Like let's say as a realtor, like what type of content can you put out, whether it's home tours or it's you know, like a talking head talking about the market, whatever it may be, but constantly putting it out and putting like a mix of your personal life, whatever your line is, right? If you're okay talking about certain topics and not others, don't cross the line, but also let people get to know you. You know, with us, you know, you guys and myself and Valeria, we all have social media, and when I walk into a room, 99% of it is done. So any business objective that I may have from that conversation, I'm already light years ahead. I'm already like 20 meetings in. It's the equivalent of 20 meetings in.
Yeah.
And so people need to do it. So that's where the world is right now, and this needs to get built. And
Somebody said social media is like a free billboard. I mean, like, why aren't you
Absolutely.
using it?
When we had we used to do insurance when we just got married. We had an insurance agency for 7 years, and then we burned out.
It was like
And
five.
it was
5 years.
5 years. I feel like it was well, whatever,
Me
5
too.
to 7. I had boys at the same time when we were working together. We always worked together. We just got lucky like that, and so. We worked together, and I had our oldest, like on Wednesday, we had to go back to work on Monday. I was just so burned out after having both kids. I was just like, we're done with this life. I can't handle it. So we literally like cut down everything in our life, basically lived off of like $5,000 a month. Went from like making.
We signed a 4-year non-compete, so we got salary for 4 years.
Yeah, that was very minimal salary. It
It's
was
minimum, but it's not to worry.
yeah, but little kids, and we're just like having this time of our life. But if I went back to have that insurance agency right now, I would use social media for sure. I'll talk about different scenarios. Why coverage you need? Like most people don't know what they're buying when they're getting insurance. They're like just like, let me sign and I got liability. What does that even mean to you, right? Like what coverage do you
You know,
have?
it's interesting. So you said a little while ago, you said this is my opportunity to pitch, Creator Method. So, but here's the thing about social media, you don't have to pitch anymore. That's the thing. So I actually try not to pitch at all. I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable pitching. What I'd rather do is if people follow me, they're going to do two things. They're going to see what my what my credentials are. They're going to understand the depth of my knowledge.
That's
and
true.
they're going to see some of the sides of my personal life. So, and then they get to know me. And that's what I believe in the long term. I try not to do calls to action. I try not to say, hey, go to Creator Method. I'll maybe tag it or say kind of like, put up a link. No, I understand that. But I'm saying.
I'm just joking
No,
because I
fair.
come from marketing background too. I used to do marketing for attorneys. Even just saying like, I try not to say this. It's like the best way to market because I used to
But I
market.
don't do it intentionally.
No, I know you don't.
I honestly don't want to pitch it because I would rather that the people who convert into members of Creator Method are people who are coming in not because I asked them to.
Of
It's
course.
because they see what my expertise is in what I do, and they have some form of an affinity for me.
Yeah.
I would actually I'd rather weed out the people who I don't want people joining who don't know what my expertise is and who don't like and who don't know if they like me or not. I want people to like, and the same thing with
That's a
all
great
of our
concept
business.
because they become too needy. Like you want people to know some knowledge of what you offer, and also like people that you don't offer any kind of guarantees to, or like when I used to sell, where I worked was also similar concept to kind of like what you did with like restaurants. It was a legal directory, so I used to do marketing for attorneys, and what was like we would sell the ads to them basically. And attorneys like in New York, they don't have time to talk to you. They were getting paid $500, and like cold collar person would never talk to you. But I found a way to talk to them. But they would always say, "What can you guarantee?" I'm like, "I'll guarantee you nothing. Like you get nothing out of this. You're never gonna get a client out of this. But guess what? Like if they see you 500 times right here, and they see you somewhere else, they're more likely to call you."
Most business owners and most high-level finance teams have a hard time bridging the gap in their minds or reconciling the difference between spending money on branding or investing money into social media, or the time that's required, and the conversion. Like the gap between the expense of either time or money and the outcome of making a sale or generating any kind of revenue. Finance people, they have a hard time
connecting it to.
Yeah, they do, unless they're doing performance marketing. So unless you're buying like ads on Meta and you know what your CPMs and CPCs and you're tracking your whole funnel, but that's just limited. Like I was talking to somebody who has a beverage company, and they came to me and they said, we want to do branding with you because Valeria's marketing product or Valeria's advertising product is branding. We don't do like arbitrage or performance marketing. And I said, okay. And we talked about the numbers and they said, okay, well, what's the ROI? Like, what am I going to convert?
0.
And I said, this product's not for you. Go place meta ads.
Yeah.
They said, we already place meta ads. We spent X amount of hundreds of thousands a month.
Yeah.
I said, just increase that. And they said, yeah, but what's happening is when we increase it, we start losing money. I said, because you don't have a brand.
Yes.
Because you're relying strictly on arbitrage. So imagine when you're doing your performance marketing and people get to your offering, let's say it's a beverage, and they look at it, they've never heard of you before. You have some loose value proposition or some defined, like you have some a new ingredient in your product that, great. So people will convert to a certain degree. And so your cost to get that conversion will be based on the fact that they're converting on you because of the messaging and the creative in that particular funnel. However, if they had already heard of you before and thought well of you before, because maybe they know who your founder is and they like your founder, maybe their friends are talking about it, whatever it is, the cost to get to them will be lower, your cost per acquisition will be lower. And if you don't have branding, the problem is that finance teams, they have a hard time reconciling this. If they can't see it, they don't understand. They want to know if I spend $1, I want to make $1.30 in gross margin. I want to make in real time 30% margins on my ad spend. Great, go do it. But then you hit a ceiling where because of the way the bids work, they can't push past it. I see it all the time. And the clients that we have on Valeria's side, these are the people who have already had years of going back and forth between their marketing teams and their finance teams arguing and them understanding, okay, shit, if we don't do branding, then our performance marketing will work. I have a very good friend of mine. His name is Aaron Spivak. He has actually his own private community. He's doing great. It's called the Founders Club. And it's mostly for e-commerce founders. And I'm a member there as well. And he did my podcast like a while ago. Brilliant guy. He sold his company. He started a company when he was 20 years old. He sold it for $48 million when he was 25 years old.
Wow.
Brilliant guy. He sold weighted blankets. And, in Canada.
Okay. I'm like, I know the concept.
And so now he lives in Miami. And so, in speaking with him, it's like he explained to me, he made a really good analogy explaining branding. And he said, branding is like a tide, like the tide, like with the tide of the ocean level, right? He said, when the tide is out, your boat is on the rocks. And in order to move the boat, you have to get out and push. Or you have to, that's the equivalent of when you don't have branding, you have to do 2 for 1. You have to make really bright ads. You have to do, because you're not floating. When the tide comes in, when you have branding, now your boat, you can paddle, you can make moves. And that makes a lot of sense. So branding is really important. And going back to the, talking about social media, is that social media is a branding tool. A lot of people confuse it for a conversion tool. Like with Creator Method, we're putting out content every day between Valeria's Instagram, my Instagram, and our Creator Method account, our Creator Method Instagram account. And we're not sitting there and tracking, okay, if
how many things have been bought.
Right. It's just we're creating brand overall. We see overall how much reach we have. And it takes time, but it's like you get these pleasant surprises of people just applying and converting on a daily basis.
But I also think it's important to stick with going away a little bit from Creator Method, but like in general to the brand. Like for example, if I love my stove pots, they're like cookpots, they're like this ceramic, whatever. They're not ceramic. What are they made out of? Oh my gosh, my words are missing words. It doesn't matter. Love the brand. Le Creuset is the competitor. I would never go to the Le Creuset and get it and talk about that. So as an influencer or creator, you have to stick with your loyal brands. Like if you like Nike, don't go to Adidas and talk about Adidas the next day. Like you have to be smart about that. When I think about there was something that Valeria was using, some kind of powder, and I don't use any powders. And I'm like, I should start at powders. I don't even know what they mean, but I'm going to go to Valeria and see what she's doing because I trust Valeria now. But if Valeria introduces a new powder every single week, I'll be like, what the heck am I supposed to do, right? Like this is so important to stick to the brand that's like just so on.
We turn down more on the Valeria Inc. side, on Valeria's media, we turn down more brand partnerships than we accept.
Yeah.
And then the way to look at suggesting different brands, and I think this is for creators who do brand deals where they feel conflicted. If organically it makes sense that you would use multiple different brands in a product segment, then it's okay to every day have like clothing, for example. Yeah. We as human beings, we don't wear like I changed my T-shirt because I came off of my motorcycle. This is a different brand than the other one, so I can easily promote both brands of T-shirts. things like a powder, you know, I think women will change their powders every maybe 3 to 9 months,
Yeah.
maybe 12 months. So it's got to make sense
Yeah.
from that perspective.
Okay, I just want to go back to that creator's method.
Sure.
Oh, creator method.
Creator
Creator
method.
method.
Okay,
Your
so
hat is a good tip.
I love
I
it.
have them in
It's-
multiple colors. Yeah.
Really?
That's awesome.
You need a
Okay,
shirt.
so now we talked about how like doctors need it, real estate agents need it, people in their certain industries, companies need it. How about someone that is not in a specific industry? How do creators get paid? I think a lot of people don't
Well,
understand.
those are two questions. You're asking who needs it, then how do creators get paid? So those are two different things.
Well, I feel like they have to be in that way related. Can anyone become a creator?
Everybody is a creator. Everybody's born
Everyone is a
creators.
creator.
Well, no, they are. No, but it's true. We're all born creators, and I'll explain why we're all
Okay.
born creators. We as a race, we are meant to do two things,
Right.
right? Essentially, we're meant to communicate,
Yeah.
and we're meant to network,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, outside of a lot of
Yeah.
other things, but
Yeah.
when it
That's
comes
true.
to communications, we are meant to communicate. And when we're born, we immediately know how to communicate. We cry when we have an intention. We communicate something, and then we get something in return.
Yeah.
And then we establish relationships. That's networking. So it's
Yeah.
communication and networking, and we evolve as human beings. Everybody's a creator. Even if you have no social media, the fact that you speak and there are people listening, you are the creator when you're speaking, and the person who's listening to you is the audience in that moment. So somebody who's on social media is doing the exact same thing. It's the equivalent of that. That quintessential. You are speaking, so therefore you are creating content, and you have an audience of one. I'm speaking right now. You are my audience. When I leave here and I post a reel, I will be speaking, leveraging technology, and my audience, instead of being 2 people, my audience will be X amount of thousands or
Right.
tens of thousands of people who will hear my
Right.
voice there. So we're all already doing this. All of
true.
us, every single human
Okay,
being is
that's a very good
participating in content
Yeah,
creation
that's a great
at every
analogy.
moment of their life. Really, the question is, what do you want to get as a content creator? Assuming what I'm just saying is correct, that this is a universal truth, then when we communicate, we all want something back, right? What do we want back?
Good.
So, we want acknowledgement. We want to feel good. We want people to agree with us. We want it to feed our ego. We want external
Right.
validation. We want to get paid. We
Right.
want to, we want to know that we've provided value. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even when I communicate with my kids, I want to know that I've done something. The benefit back to me is that I've helped them develop because I genuinely care about their
Good
development.
point. Yeah.
So we're all doing the same thing at all times. So everybody already is a content creator. The question is are they doing it in the most efficient way possible?
Okay.
That's it. And that's social media. And that's what this technology allows us to do.
You can reach a lot more people. So how?
Okay. Yeah. So if I'm interested, like say, hey, I want to be a creator.
Yeah.
I want to maximize my potential, share my life. How? And I think the reason why I'm asking is a lot of people don't understand that is a good, I can say, career choice. A lot of people that they think like, oh, if they just snag in the camera, well, these guys make a lot more money than you do, and your parents, everyone.
Like you said, replacing your.
Well, listen, it's not all about it's not only about money. I mean, money is definitely like a contributing factor, but
It's not about money.
it's somewhat about it can be about money. In a lot of cases, it is about money if people are doing it for the purpose of making money. But there are people that I know that are doing this because it makes them feel good. Like it makes them feel good to share. There are people who are just quite frankly they don't need money. They're in a situation where they're all taken care of.
Yeah.
Look, if you think it's about money, like how do you explain the fact that almost every exited entrepreneur that I know who has a net worth of over $100 million is trying to create content and get scale on social media? A lot of them that I know. I'm sure some of them are quiet, but I know a lot of them.
Once you achieve a certain financial goal, I mean, I think.
So why are they doing it if it's? I mean, your premise is like it's done for the money.
Isn't it money, fame, and what else? What other sex? I know there's 3, right? But so they got the money. I'm sure they got the other parts. And now they need the fame.
It's not a question of need; it's a question of fulfillment, right?
Fulfillment.
Hey, look, maybe it's not enough. Meaning, if they had an exit and they have all the money in the world,
Yeah.
maybe now that they need additional external validation. I think part of it is that. But I know entrepreneurs who have made the money and they could literally do nothing for the rest of their lives and they could care less about fame. They want to add value to the world.
And I think those people, they're going to stick it out for way longer than the people that go in for. I think the mistake that people go into being a creator, try to make money, what you're saying, they're the ones that are going to exit first. They're going to burn out first because money comes
Not
later.
exit in a good way.
No, not in a good
Yeah.
way. Like they're gonna be the ones that will just be like, I'm done with this,
You know-
because you burn out too fast. The people that go in because they love it, like for example, Mom's Dish, we did it for 11 years, getting paid zero. We actually intentionally decided we're never gonna put ads on our site until we realized that you can make money, lots of money, and I can quit my job and like have a
We
good
did it for
successful
9
career.
years without getting paid.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
getting paid. And then in 2018, that's when we finally turned on the ads, because the ads were not paying much back in the day, like where it was RPMs were like $3
Yeah, you
We're
were
so
saying.
sad
Yeah.
because we had days where we were like, we had millions of people. It was
in one
such a-
day.
yes, so many people. And that we're getting paid like $1.99 per 1,000 people.
Yeah, it was just not worth it.
It was
We
not.
did not want to do it for the money. But because I loved it, I had this passion, I stuck it out, and we like made it to this goal, like where at the end it became a business for us. And it was like, I could say accidental business. Same thing with Valeria. She loved what she was doing, and it turned into this like business because she leveraged her love for something. And I think that to me, I think is more important than anything. Like the people that are exited and they're doing this out of passion, out of love, I think they're gonna create something else amazing.
Well, they do. I see it happen all the time. You know, when it comes onto the money side, I noticed that when creators, even who have they're just starting out and they maybe have like under a couple of thousand followers, you know, especially in Creator Method, and they're asking me questions about, okay, like how do I monetize? Should I be going outbound? Should I be contacting brands and asking? And I said, no, absolutely not. Like you have to create the asset. You have to build a community. You have to put out content for an extended period of time and get better at this craft.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and the other thing I tell people when it comes to monetization, I think this is an important point, is that people believe they get some form of scale, and they then spend a portion of their time, like 30% of their time, going outbound, trying to reach out to brands to say, you know, come and you're you know, you're shaking your head. And
No.
and what I tell them is, I said, stop doing that and instead take those 2 hours a day and become better creators, because marketing decision makers for brands, they're not looking for where to advertise in their inbox. They're looking in their feeds.
Yeah.
So show up in their feeds.
Tag them or something.
Well, tag them. But my point is like, have content that gets distribution because you're a good content creator and you're a good communicator. And when that happens, like,
you'll get noticed.
if we, well, of course, for us, when we see that we have a series of videos that do really well, we have high view counts, a lot of distribution, a lot of great engagement, positive sentiment, there's a direct correlation to the volume of opportunities we have in our inboxes on the Valeria side versus when we get on the phone and start calling everybody saying, hey, do you want to advertise with us? And that's what I'm always telling people.
It's completely different numbers than you reaching out versus them reaching out.
Well, it's different numbers, and there was like, I mean, if someone is already reaching out to us, the conversation's very different. It's not, you know, the sales cycle, like from when the initial contact to the actual
you're already
deal
sold.
is done.
You just have to make the numbers work.
You just don't mess it up. You know what I mean? Like on our side.
No, absolutely. I totally agree on that. I was gonna say something else
Well, what do you think?
about burnout, and you have a question? Go ahead.
No, question. So, what is the number one reason influencers fail? What do you see the number one thing that makes them fail?
They care too much what people think about them. So they, unfortunately, a lot of them, I see a lot of them fail where it really bothers them when people think about them.
So they're not being themselves.
And most, sorry?
They're not being themselves.
It's not that they're not being themselves. It's like they're putting this effort into it. And what happens is initially, your initial audience
It's your closest people.
they're friends and family.
It's
And
true.
unfortunately, friends and family, they feel they're the most vocal about telling you like what you're doing is terrible. It's so embarrassing. It's so
cringe.
cringe.
We had those calls. We had those calls.
But I've had creators in Creator Method, you know, call me and say, I need to talk to you. It's an emergency. And I'm just like, we'll talk about it on our next call. They're like, no, it's an emergency. And I'm like, oh, fine. And I get on the call. I'm like, what's going on? My so-and-so family member is mean to me and says that, you know, and I'm just like, so that's the number one reason, right? So I think that mental kind of getting past that mental barrier of not caring what people think. And it's toughest in the beginning where it's your closest people. And what I tell them is, I say, guys, like, you care about this today, but when you have a large audience and you're making money and you're providing for your kids and you're doing all this, like, you won't care about the
Because
fact.
they're gonna say, I want to be a creator myself.
That's the thing. And a lot of the times that negative feedback, and either, you know, close friends and family or people in general, once you start getting a little bit of scale, that negative feedback isn't because they think what you're doing is wrong or bad or stupid or making you look dumb. They're upset because they can't do it. That's what it is. They're upset that they can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe you triggered them in a weird way. Like at the beginning when we started, like people would be like, "You're not even that great of a cook. I just got married. I was the youngest out of 5." It doesn't matter. I love to cook. This is my journey. I'm gonna
Yeah,
show
for
my
sure.
journey. And good thing it didn't like bother me. I'm like, okay, you don't like my food, move on. Like
Yeah,
you don't even
absolutely.
have to watch it. But the funny thing is, I created a I call it trash account, TikTok trash account. Nobody knows about it. I didn't share about it anywhere. And my CPA started following me. I don't even know how he found me. And I told her, like, dang, I can't be myself. But I'm like, I need to get over this.
Your
Who
closest
cares?
people follow you first.
I'm like, CPA? Why does CPA follow me on
So
TikTok?
they fail because of that. They fail because they can't get over, they can't get past in their head, you know, kind of what other people think about them. That's one thing. And then the other thing is that they're so fixated on monetization that they're not creating content. So it's what I was saying before. They spend so much time trying to figure out how to monetize it in real time that they're not their head's not in the content.
It's too early.
And the other thing is, and there's another thing is kind of this whole like this thing with overanalyzing the data and taking the data personally. So when they put out content and the content doesn't do what they want it to do in terms of like views and engagement, they get really upset and they start getting like they take it personally.
Yeah.
And what I'm telling people is, you know, depending on the stage that they're at, especially if it's early, I say to them, guys, look, your success metric is not followers, it's not views, it's output. So rather than looking at the middle number on Instagram with number of followers, I look at the one to the left, which is number of posts. I said, you're at sub 100 posts right now, and you're anxious about something, you're nervous. You're getting your education now. You can't possibly don't worry about it, because at the end of the day, we can't control views and we can't control followers. The only thing we can control, and the only thing creators can control, and this is why a lot of them quit, is they have this false sense of control over views and follower counts, which they have no control over. So they have to control what they can't. They have to apply their efforts to what they can control, and that is the output. That is the amount of videos, the volume of content they put out, whether it's videos or carousels, and also the quality of that content. And quality not defined by cinematography or videography or lighting. Quality defined by the content's ability to connect to people, right?
With AI especially, I think people are going to crave more and more the connection with people.
And the followers actually really don't matter. I remember my brother a while back, like a year ago, he called me. He's like, hey man, I bought an account with like 600,000 followers on TikTok. It was like, he paid like $500 for it. It's like, I'm ready. I'm going to retire, man. I'm going to retire. I'm like, sell it. You don't need it. What is it about? Oh, it's like somebody posted a dark, like a black box, and everybody kept on commenting on it. I was like, you're not, sell it. You don't need it. It's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
I mean, the followers count doesn't matter as much as the content that you're putting out, like you were saying.
Follower count is part of branding. The follower count is part of branding. So it matters from a vanity perspective. It goes back to branding. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
what's your niche? What do people know you as?
If you have a large number, it's
engaged number. I think
engaged numbers.
Yeah.
It's a good vanity metric. However, if you have a large number, but then you go to your videos and your view counts are tiny and your engagement is tiny, then it's just like, okay, these are all bought. And it actually works negatively.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, I think an uninformed or like ignorant audience members might be like, oh my God. But then anybody who knows anything or who has any common sense will go one level deeper and look at the amount of views you have per video and be like, oh, because that's hard to fake.
Or anybody buying bot accounts.
You can fake you can fake follower accounts. You can't fake video views. You can to a certain degree.
And the thing is, actually, if you buy follower accounts, a lot of people don't know this. If you buy the fake bots accounts, what Instagram and a lot of other accounts do, they first show it to your followings. But if that's the bot accounts, it's going to underperform.
Correct.
So it's not going to reach any more people.
So I had someone reach out to me and he said he had 50,000 followers and he said, hey, you know, I have this account and it's his like personal account and he's trying to grow it. And he said to me, I don't know, like somebody was sending fake followers to this account and now it's not performing. And I didn't want to like put him on the spot. Say, dude, like, let's call it what it is. Like I get what you tried to do. Nobody out of the blue decided, hey, I'm going to send fake followers to this person's account. And so, yeah, I mean, that proves the point that, you know, it's just not a good thing to do. I'm very against it. People who do it, it's a waste of time.
Still do it. I feel like that was like back in the day. Still do it.
People do it. People
Maybe
do it.
Worked a long time ago now.
I don't know.
They're not real though. Followers aren't real. What's the point?
So what
Numbers.
separates people that are successful, like influencers that are successful, or versus those that are not?
What's the difference between the two?
Yeah.
Separates or
So I think the characteristic for somebody who's successful, who they can continue putting out content and putting in, you know, a meaningful amount of work during long periods of time when the data is not moving the way they want it to move.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. And so to me, if you can have that resilience of continuing to put out content, iterating, and being as excited about
Right.
putting out content and posting it
Right.
when it's not quote unquote performing, the people who quit are the people who they can't take that. Their ego can't take it.
Right.
Their ego can't take putting out content for long periods of time, getting some form of feedback on that content, iterating on it, doing deep work, like the research that's required to understand
For
how to,
free. All for free.
and to do it for free for extended periods of time.
For a long time.
It's a leap of faith. Most people's ego can't handle putting in that much effort into something, and at the same time have it not perform, and at the same time having their friends see that
Right.
they're
Criticism.
putting all of this content out and it's not
So
moving.
how do they get over that? Is it like
It's natural selection.
It's a natural. You think it's
Natural selection.
You don't think some people can do it? Do you actually think that it's a natural thing that you're born with, or do you think you can get over it and you can work on yourself and
I
still
think
do it?
anybody can. I think anybody
So okay,
can develop
let's
themselves.
say I'm putting this out and I'm just calling you and crying, Gary. My mom said I suck. What would you tell me? Get over yourself.
I would say stop talking to your mom about your career.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
I would tell you. First of all, I would say to you, like, look, I get it. It's your mom. I understand. You got to create some distance between you and your mom. Not on the personal side, but on the business side. Don't talk to her about business. I stopped talking to my parents about business like a long time ago because I understood that they don't understand what I do, and it's understandable. They're from a completely different generation. They're from a different planet professionally, so they don't know. So I don't really take what certain people say because like to heart, because they don't have, I don't know, they don't have the understanding
Yeah.
of what I do. So
So,
I would
what about your
argue that.
friend? Like your close friend tells you, like, this is so silly. What are you doing? This is embarrassing.
What does my friend do for a living?
I don't know. Like
No,
somebody that's in your creative.
but that's important, right?
Oh, okay.
Because if it's somebody who doesn't understand this world at all, who doesn't understand marketing or media or social media or communication or any of that, then I don't. Cool.
Just don't take their opinion.
I'm like, cool, thanks, I appreciate it. Like, you know, do whatever.
Do you think it's your resilience versus like truly it does impact some people and then it makes them quit? Like
Nah, you know what it is? I just don't give a shit what people think of me. I don't care.
I think it comes with age though.
It
that
does come
comes
with age.
because
Absolutely.
in your I always say in your 20s you care, in 30s you still care, but like I'm almost 40 and I can give a crap. Like I don't care. Like
So
I won't
that's
talk
what,
about certain topics because I don't want to just
that's-
argue with people in comments, but I don't really care what people think.
that's why you succeed.
No, but I also think like it just comes with age. If somehow people like in their 20s, they can get over that, like that would be so good.
They're starting to. People in their 20s are now really benefiting from social media at scale.
Yeah.
From the fact that the world's knowledge is available to them instantly. You know, I didn't have this.
That's true.
I didn't have
That's
this growing
true.
up, and I feel that was a disadvantage. So you know, getting back to your question about you know, what makes a successful creator, I think having that resilience and dropping your ego and being able to create through long periods of time without seeing results, and it's almost like insanity, right? But what I believe needs to happen through those periods of time when the content isn't moving is the iteration, is the reinvention. It's the deep work of doing the research, coming back, changing things, making tweaks.
Constantly,
It's being aware of certain, you know, moments. I'll give you a quick example. I was with our 10-year-old, our middle son, and we were buying him a computer at the Apple store. I was buying him a computer. It was just me and him. And it was his first computer. And he was walking out and he was carrying it. And it was a novelty for me because he's 10, but I don't know if you know, the computer boxes are huge and heavy. And I see he's carrying it out. And when I saw this, I just quickly took my phone and took a video. And I just said what was ever on my mind. I was like, hey, are you happy now? And he said, I was always happy. And that to me was like, oh my God, what a cute moment. So I put it up as stories in my Instagram. I put it up as stories. It went up as stories, and I got a bunch of DMs, not a lot, but maybe 10 DMs saying, oh my God, you're such a good dad. That's so amazing. He's so great. You know, he's so grateful, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's such a good kid. I was like, okay, let's make it into a reel. So that was proof enough for me that it tested out on stories that I got an emotion, not because it got more views or I didn't look at that data. It's just the feeling. I saw that people, it created a feeling in people. And so I made it into a reel and I put it out. And so going back to your question about what makes a successful creator is someone's ability that they have to develop over time of seeing what these moments are. You have to develop the artistic side of this. People default to data analytics because realistically, anybody can look at data and analyze it. Anybody. It's not a hard skill. You know, it's
Not easy.
It's not, no, but I mean, you know that
With
100,000.
Instagram data is simple though.
You know that 100,000 views are more than 10,000 views.
Right.
So that's an easy skill to understand kind of what's working, what's not from a data perspective. But to have strong communication skills, to be able to recognize a moment, like what I did when my son was carrying something, and it kind of it was a novelty, and I thought it looked interesting, and I filmed it, and I asked him the question, "Hey, are you happy?" And he said, "I'm always happy." And then I had the wherewithal to put that up as a story, and then I had the wherewithal and the understanding that a handful of people messaged me about it, so this created some kind of an emotional response, and then I put it up as a reel, and then I created a caption that provided some additional context. That's the skill. So you're asking me what is the skill that's required? It's what makes a creator successful. It's their ability to continue working through long periods of data being flat or down, and having the want and need to develop the artistic side and the emotional intelligence side of this business. That's what it is. That's what a successful.
So just continuing improving and just.
I think also connection. Like I love your reel that went viral for you with a shoe. It's like every freaking husband can connect to that. Did I show you the reel?
No.
It's like Valeria's. Well, you can share it better. She's
So,
asking about the shoes.
I was in the cold plunge. We have a cold plunge at the house, and I was in the cold plunge.
And it's not even like crafty video. It's like pretty messy video. Like you could see that you were in a cold plunge. It wasn't polished.
Well, no.
It was.
People
So
like
I
that
think
stuff.
people
So
like
I was
that.
sitting in the cold plunge, and I heard Valeria, and I saw Valeria walked around the corner, and I saw the look in her eye that she had something interesting to talk to me about. So I said, "Stop, stop, stop." I said, "Go back and give me 3 seconds and walk back in." Because I was out, she had to turn around the corner to get to me where the cold plunge. So I just turned on my camera.
Oh.
Because I didn't have enough time, because I had my phone in my hand, but my camera wasn't on. And so she came, and she's like, and then she just said to me, "Which of these shoes do you like?" She was dressed for a night out. We were going out that night, and she had what looked to me like 2 identical shoes.
Yeah.
But I think to every
man.
to every man, it looked like 2 identical shoes. And she goes, "Which one do you want?" And I said, "The left one." And she goes, "But my mom wants the right one." I said, "Okay, then the right one." She goes, "No, but you said the left one." I said, "I made a mistake. I meant the right one."
Oh.
Right? It was just a natural
And then
conversation.
Valeria still climbs on top of whatever that is. And she's like, which one? And I think every husband and the wife can connect with that, because he has said this to me many times. But then him as a husband, like now you connected both. Like all of your audience can connect with this. It's a connection thing too.
But we didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, I know. But that's like the real stuff, the connection stuff.
Yeah, correct.
Like about Ben, right?
Yes, Ben.
On the laptop thing. It's also a connection thing. Every parent can connect and be like, yeah, like that's so sweet.
Right.
So it's like creating connection is also really important, I think. That's really cool.
That video did really well.
That's
With Ben?
No, that video with Valeria.
The shoe is
you
hilarious.
know-
You guys should do more of that.
You know,
That's hard to recreate.
I know, it's hard to recreate, but the two of you, the dynamic, how straight up you are with her,
I get a
it's
lot.
so funny.
I get a lot of shit for it too.
I know you do, and I watched your video on YouTube. YouTube, and I was like, I know you get shit for it, and I think
But I don't care.
that's good. That's
the
good,
fun
and
one.
as long as Valeria's fine with it, who
Yeah,
cares?
Yeah, we're both okay with it.
Then the
But
rest of it doesn't
I
matter.
am who I am. I'm not going to pretend to be somebody else.
And I think that's really important. You just like certain things that I feel like in politics you can't talk about certain things.
We just
but
try not to talk about
I hate
politics.
this shirt, by the way. And he wanted to wear it, and I was like, whatever, do whatever you
because
want to do.
just think I'm not real. You know, I'm being myself.
Yeah, fair enough.
There we go.
I was like, I'm gonna wear a dress, and you're wearing some weird shirt.
That's-
I mean, have you seen the way my wife dresses and the way I dress? I mean, I came to you.
Actually, I have a question for you about the dress up.
So we're
It's
gonna
one of my
go
rapid fire
rapid
questions.
fire. I feel like we've covered it all. I mean, I
Do
appreciate
you want
you.
to add anything about the creator method?
No, I'm good.
No.
What makes it so special? Like, what do you think? Actually, I did have a question before you answer that about what people think. Do people ever say to you like you're doing this cute wives thing with Valeria, like you're like the way you like? Do people ever? I feel like maybe Miami is different. I don't know. Maybe you face that in Canada.
But I'm not
People
sure
will
what
like reference to me, be like, you're doing this cute blog thing, and she's like a doctor from a neighborhood, and
so
she'll be like, it's so cute, you have a blog,
No, no,
and I'm
no.
like, dude, like.
Well, no. You have the followers. You have like when
yeah.
we say we have a blog, we don't have a follower count. Nobody knows how big our blog is.
Yeah.
It's just like, what do you do? We have a blog. Oh, that's so cute. And it's
That's
like,
the
but
response
what
we
do you
get.
do for a living?
I just don't care. I
You
don't
don't.
know. Like,
Do people ever talk to you that way though? Maybe in Miami people don't.
not anymore.
No.
Not anymore, but they
No.
used to.
They used to. I think now the perception
Yeah.
by people who are not in this business is that when you have big follower accounts, you're making a lot of money.
Oh, I
So
see.
now people just assume we're
They
just.
assume you're rolling in money.
I personally think people's opinion of myself and Valeria are very high, and it's nice.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
anything, that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where I feel like they think more of me than I think of myself, and that makes me feel a little, because we're very like just to be clear, like Valeria and I, we feel extremely normal,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we, as much as there's so much content, and we literally, like, when you look at our data, we reach hundreds of millions of people every month between all of our entire ecosystem. We still feel like we have private lives. Like, we don't feel like we're in the public eye at all.
Yeah.
And we still get surprised sometimes when people talk to us
Recognize?
and they not recognize us. We don't get surprised about that anymore, but we get surprised when people talk to us and they know like certain details of our lives.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's weird sometimes when you meet people that know so much about you. You're like, oh, I don't know. How much do you know about me?
No,
Tell
but
me.
it's okay. But it's okay. So yeah, I think that's just the way social media is right now. But look, in the end, ultimately, people need to get on top of this. People need to understand that if you're any kind of, from a business perspective, if you're in any kind of a business that is client facing or consumer facing, then this is no longer
An option.
An option. It is
Yeah.
it is a necessity.
I really like how you compared it to the internet. It is very interesting because the early companies that did open up their websites, like, oh, you're one of those, techie guys. It must be the guy that stays up programming. It was weird. But then those are the people who made a ton of money.
Every new
Innovation.
every new innovation, every new kind of next step when it comes to communication, when it comes to anything like that, is met with a combination of mockery, fear, and loathing.
Yeah.
When we went from, as a society, from print to radio, people are like, oh, this is crazy.
Right?
They vilified it. Oh, you should be reading. What is this? Kids would be like sitting on the floor listening to the radio in the house. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Read a book. That's rotting your mind. And then it's always the case. And things catch up. I believe that the next and quite frankly, it'll be the most profound change in humanity is AI. Because what I'm seeing AI's ability to do, it's going to change everything. I believe that AI will have a larger impact on humanity than the internet did when it first came out.
The CEO of Google just said that AI is a much bigger than internet itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a much bigger innovation. Like, going from no internet to internet is, I think, going to be that's less than going from where we are now to a world of AI.
And I think for that reason, people will crave creators. They will crave connection.
Connections,
I think people would want more people that they could connect with. And there's going to be a point where people will not be able to distinguish. Well, at least it is now too. Like, you have a program where you can create video content with humans.
I heard it's VO3, I think it is. It's on Google. I don't have it yet. I don't
got
have
a subscription. It's crazy.
It's like 8 seconds, right? It's like 8-second videos.
Yeah,
But you can string them together.
8 seconds. You can put them together. You can't use the VO3 to combine them.
Like a
the
storyline?
characters change. It's not there yet. But I use the VO2, and you can keep the same character, and it's crazy.
You can keep
the same character. So
like the person.
but it's not as good in terms of the quality.
It's not as good as VO3, but just the VO3 every 8-second clip is different. You can't keep it the same.
But they'll figure that out. Do you have access to it right now?
Yeah.
Can you show it to me after?
I can show it to
I
you.
really want to see it because I see the clips of people saying, "We're just a prompt. It's not real."
I know. It's great. You're gonna love it.
There's this baby that's like a newscaster. Have you seen that baby? It's actually viral.
I see the babies all the time. You know
no, but it's like an actual TikTok or Instagram account, maybe even TikTok account, like a news person. It's a baby.
Yeah,
it's like really news, and it's like I think people will crave that, and I think at some point people get sick of it, and they'll connect with like creators.
You know what? You know what I'm curious about. That's to see what's going to happen from a legal perspective. Is right now anybody could come along and create Valeria and have Valeria like as an ad for whatever product they're selling.
That's scary.
And they can put it up. So I don't know. do we have the right to that, or are they? Because if somebody simply took Valeria's photo
Yeah.
and put it up, then we have, we have recourse.
Of
The
course.
platform will take it down.
Yeah.
But the AI using I don't know. I don't know.
No, you still cannot.
But they're still
I don't know
copying
who-
you. It's intellectual property.
I don't know that it is.
That's interesting.
Well,
Because
There
if they
has to
take
be a
if
law
they take
against it.
if they take let's say they take a photo, and that photo they're able to then create a video of you doing something, and they sufficiently editorialize it, meaning they take a photo of you, but then you're at the top of a mountain
Is it
wearing a
misrepresentation?
different shirt. So in general, if you take a piece of content, like if you take a photo from the internet and you sufficiently editorialize it, just like let's say on your blog, you can
Yeah.
take a photo.
Yeah.
You're not only using like clip art or royalty free.
Yeah.
You can take photos of people who are like, and it's owned by somebody else, and you can include it. And if you sufficiently editorialize it and you create copy around it, then it's okay.
I think
Interesting.
you have you can do that with like public figures. I think there's a certain thing that kind of allows you to use their photo to a certain extent, but then it'll be misrepresentation. No, wouldn't it?
You can blast the brand
But
and
anyways.
not let them do
Oh
it.
yeah, just blast them like, hey,
That's
here's
crazy.
my-
That's a lot of fighting in the future then, if that's
I
the
think
case.
so. I think so. Until they figure out what the laws are, and then
Yeah.
the platforms are going to have to figure out how to police this.
Oh, it's going to be hard to distinguish. Okay, rapid fire questions for you.
So just the fun questions. And
I like to do the quick questions because I think they're fun. Okay, I remember the days of Balenciaga.
Wow, you've been around for a while. Okay.
I was when I discovered Valeria the first time and I fell in love with her, it was this very young girl. There's children running around and she was ready for some kind of wedding.
Yeah, it was her mom's wedding.
Mom's wedding? Okay. And it was just like chaos. And I was like, I can so relate to this. See, like this is like a feeling, relating. And I had two kids too. They were older, but still, you still feel chaos.
For sure.
And I was like, and I stuck, like she did. You guys
you.
only had two kids. I love Valeria. Like Valeria
Thank
is one
you.
of my favorite people that I follow. And I always talk about her, but actually there's two people that I talk about. Mallory Irvin is in Nashville. She's very real. She has a great like product line, merch. And I buy all of her shirts, and Valeria is another example. Because the way she, like years later, the way you guys produce content is very natural, organic, and it doesn't look like you guys are burned out, and you're not following trends, which I love. I hate people, like I don't hate people.
We follow some trends. We follow some trends.
No, but it's not like, in food industry, it's more visible. Like cottage cheese pancakes, and everybody made cottage cheese pancakes. You know what I mean? Like everybody copies the same exact meal and just like I never did that, and I think that hurt my growth. But I also feel like you guys stand out for that reason because you bring your personality. Authentic, yeah. And even when Balenciaga thing, when like you owned it, you talked about it. So what happened to your style? Where do you shop now?
So where do I shop now?
Yeah, like where do you
I had
dressed?
I had this thing where I don't want to wear labels anymore. I just don't like it anymore. It makes me feel stupid.
Well, you got your own
Is it
label
after
now.
you moved to Miami?
Yeah, it's after
Because
which is
everybody's
interesting.
so
Because everyone is so into it, and I just noticed that there's just like inverse proportion between like success and affluence and the size of the labels. Meaning, the bigger the labels, the less successful the people tend to be.
Interesting.
Because they spend all their money on. I'm not saying that they're fake. It's fake stuff. I'm saying they'll put Louis Vuitton and stuff all over the place. So to me, I just don't want to do it anymore. This is like a $20 T-shirt from Amazon, and these are motorcycle riding pants. These were more expensive. These were a couple $100. But they're like Kevlar and they got
Okay, you
knee
guys
padding.
go out like for dinner. You
Yeah.
still wear $20 T-shirt?
I might wear a somewhat like maybe a $60 T-shirt.
Where's your $60 T-shirt from?
Amazon.
Amazon?
Yeah, just because I find that the quality's better, so it actually just looks better. Like I feel this looks like a $20 T-shirt, but I feel like the $60 T-shirt looks a little more elevated.
Okay, so you shop for clothing at Amazon. I asked this
Yeah.
question from females, but like I had to ask you
There's
because
these
you were
cargo
so into
pants.
brands.
There's these cargo pants that I love. It's not these because these are my motorcycle pants and they're all like got protection built into them.
Yeah.
But I have these cargo pants that I buy. They're $39 and they're amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I've
Our
been
boys
on
love
on
cargo pants.
stages. I've been on stage. Like I was at a stage at forgot the name of the conference. It was a big conference, and
Yeah.
I was on a stage there. And there I wore my $12 T-shirt and my $150 sneakers and my $39 pants.
You guys are saving a lot of money.
Well, I like wearing nice watches.
so
I
that's
think,
where the money goes.
Yeah, I wear. Yeah,
Do you have a
Yes.
collection?
I do.
That's cool.
It's H&M. I buy a whole year's supply of H&M shirts. They're white and black.
Yeah,
And
cotton shirts.
Yeah.
if I ever stain them, just throw it away.
Yeah, but before I was very into these labels, and I was very into, I lied to myself and said, oh, it's the quality, and there is quality. There's
Yeah.
quality in all these labels, but they're not worth the premium. For me, they're not worth the premium.
Well, then you're a walking billboard for them,
Well, that's the thing.
right?
I think shoes you have to buy quality.
I
Like,
agree.
Shoes, I just bought myself these golden shoes that I was like, whatever, it's H&M, I don't need them. They like ripped off in one day. And I was like,
Yeah,
this
that's
is why
fair.
you pay for
So
shoes.
these boots, this is a company called TCX, and they exclusively make motorcycle sneakers.
Oh, that's what it is.
And so it has like Kevlar. Kevlar is something that if you fall and you slide, it doesn't eat through the material and then burn your skin. So
That's cool.
it's impenetrable, and then it's got a metal plate underneath. So this is all a
plate,
metal.
too.
The sole is metal.
Oh, wow.
And so if anything from the road, like it's happened before with motorcyclists, that something comes up through the road and it'll pierce your foot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this has a metal plate in it. These were $150.
It's not bad.
It's great.
It's not bad.
$150 is not bad at all. Okay.
What else?
Kim, do you want to ask the FU question?
No, I'm probably gonna get out. It's
No, you
asking
can
too many
ask.
questions. Ah, okay.
How
no.
much one is FU money?
You asked that question.
How much money is FU money?
Mm-hmm.
Enough that you can live off of the interest passively.
Interest in your like investments.
Well, how much interest?
FU doesn't. FU's not a money thing. It's more of a. You don't. It's no longer having the need for external validation. So to me, it's not. It's not
a number?
It's not a number.
Okay,
It's-
then for full fulfillment in life, like
Well,
how
look,
much?
Can I share it? Like a friend of ours, she said it was $70,000 a month for her. That was life changing because that's when she could get a first class ticket and not care.
Not
yeah.
anymore.
I mean,
Wow.
I just don't care about the first class ticket. I just look.
You wouldn't fly first class? You don't care?
I do sometimes. If
That's
it's
so nice.
I do for like practical purposes though.
Okay.
If we're flying somewhere really far away
Mm-hmm.
and I need to wake up the next day or I need to like hit the ground and I need to work right away, then I'll probably fly business. But within the United States, I'm not flying business.
Yeah, that doesn't make
It's a ripoff. I don't know what the answer to you is. Like to me, my happiness, like I've just been through so many different evolutions in my life, and my overall happiness and my self-worth was tied to my net worth, and I just realized it's just not the case. Like when I go home and I was just thinking about this today, guys. Like today, I woke up. I got to spend time with my wife. I went, who I adore. I went to our 6-year-old school where he was showing us all his little drawings and everything, and he was so affectionate. And the teacher came up to us because he was having issues before where he was misbehaving, and now she said, "Oh my God, there's such a change. He's so happy. He's so well adjusted now. Everything's great, and he's happy. And he's like, Mama, Papa, I love you."
That's
and then I get on my motorcycle. I come to see and meet amazing people like yourselves. It's not a money thing for me. I'm just a happy,
satisfaction.
content guy. And I love my life to such a degree, and I love what I do, and I love to be able to meet guys, people like you, and ride my bike, and hang out with my kids, and enjoy time with my wife. So I just, as much as like I care, because money's a very practical thing, but I know far more, like the people that I know that have massive amounts of money, more of them are miserable than not.
I agree.
So I'm good.
No, I agree with you.
So I guess as long as you can pay your medical bill and not stress about it, you should be fine. And afford the economy class. Okay.
Okay, what motivates you now? You're gonna say something like just work.
No, I mean what motivates me now is it's purpose. I honestly like starting this business with Valeria was at the time it was the most satisfying business I've ever been involved in, because seeing her development, just seeing everything that's happened as a result, the life that we've been able to create through content creation is just so meaningful to me. So that's what that motivated me. But Creator Method took it to a whole other level, because the development that I witnessed and was a part of and was able to help with Valeria. I'm not doing it with hundreds of people. And when I talk to women who started and they had kind of a low self-worth because it wasn't going the way they wanted to,
Right.
and even their husbands were like, "Yeah, you're wasting your time," and now they make more money than their husbands. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I just enjoy what I do to such a degree. I love it so much.
I think you can take it to the next level. Not only are you impacting this creators, you're also impacting the community with those creators.
So you're absolutely right. And it's actually funny. I was talking about it with Valeria just recently. the impact that we're having is not only are we changing the lives of the actual creators, not only on the financial side, but also just their self-worth, their creative outlet, and all of that. But in addition to that, they're now reaching hundreds of thousands or millions of people.
Yeah.
So it's just this like beautiful flywheel that we're creating of, you know, of value. And so we're literally influencing and impacting in a positive way millions of people through this
if you think about
entire
it,
thing.
When I'm burned out or if I'm not motivated, I think about the fact that somebody in somebody's home is eating the meal that like we have a recipe for, and it just like it's the best feeling. I was reading comments. We had somebody doing our comments on our team, and I was like, "Can I please get into there and just do some of the comments because it just feeds my soul."
Absolutely.
It's the best feeling ever.
You know, it's amazing. Look, we all know how difficult business is. Like the three of us collectively, we know how difficult it is. And we know the amount of work that needs to go in before you have any kind of a win, right? And we know that. And like judging by your emotional response to what I just said, like I know it's true. I know it's true for myself. I've been doing this for decades. When I get, you know, you're asking me what gives me purpose and, you know, what motivates me. When I'm talking like within our Slack community, like within Slack with our community, and we have like a channel for wins, and every day someone's posting something there, and anything from I got gifted something, which they've never gotten gifted before. That's a big step for them. To somebody saying like I just signed this huge deal, or we have entrepreneurs who are like owners of brand, like they're founders, and they said I just started and somebody saw my content and now I have the strategic partnership, or an investor reached out and I'm about to close a round. Like these are huge things. So this is what really motivates me right now.
That's cool. What about for your kids? Would you let them have social media, or you would?
Not yet. But
Is there like why not yet? Like you don't want them to develop their personal brand?
They're developing their personal brands as kind of on us, like in addition to us, like as being in the content. I don't want to give them a device that gives them access to all the information in the world quite yet.
At what age?
I don't know. I'll let you know.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I'm just not sure. I'm not trying to evade the question.
I was wondering if you have a number.
When I feel that they're
ready,
when they're mature enough, and I think it'll be a different number for each kid.
That's actually very true.
Every kid is very different.
Yeah, the oldest one I never had to watch over him. He was so like.
Yeah, he created a YouTube account. Now he's burned out.
He's burned out.
He's making some money, but it's not like very successful.
Can I ask the last question
before
we let you go? Now I heard you're a big fan of sauna and cold plunge. That is amazing. And me coming from Siberia, sauna was everything to us. I mean that's the only warmth of time we could catch. Do you do this daily or? Yeah. Wait, cold plunge and sauna?
I don't think sauna I do every day, just from a time perspective. But when I have time, I do. But so I haven't showered indoors in years. Oh, okay. So yeah, I have a shower outside, and so my the cold plunge and the sauna and the shower all in one place outside. So I go outside.
Can you
every
use
day.
it year round?
We live in Miami.
I know, but I'm just wondering. It's like basically
so like the sauna. What I use? What, the sauna or the cold plunge?
Yeah,
I use all three of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So every time, like before I take a shower. Right. I'm in this cold. I go to the cold plunge and then I take a shower.
So you do the cold plunge without doing the sauna, just straight to the cold plunge. Yeah. That's it. How cold is the water?
Between 40 and 50 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's cold.
You get used to it. It's really you condition to it really
I've done
easily.
It before.
It's really like once you do it all the time. Yeah. After a couple of weeks, it's super easy.
Yeah, I do think it's a lot easier after the sauna, but I mean, it's cold.
It's easier, but I don't like. I feel people look. In reality, I don't believe there's any additional health benefits.
Actually, I was going to ask you, do you see health benefits?
To go from 50 degrees to 37 degrees. The benefit is mental. Doing something that's the more difficult something is to do every day. I just like to do difficult things. That's why I got into riding motorcycles. Like it was really scary. I've only been riding for a year, but I already have 3 motorcycles and I ride all the time.
3?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
And you have a truck too, right? Did you get a truck?
I do, yeah.
Valeria was making fun of him that he's become very American.
Pickup truck.
Yeah, I got a pickup truck. I got my first
one a couple of years ago.
Yeah, but it's an 800 horsepower, like with a 6-inch lift kit pickup truck.
Why do you need a pickup truck in Miami?
Why not?
Is that like really the American thing to do? That's why you wanted to do it?
No,
like why did you get a pickup truck?
It's cool. I don't know. I just like it. I just do things that I like. I don't really
It's just
think
funny
about...
because like when we moved to the South, I mean, like moving from Seattle to Nashville, you have to have a pickup truck in Nashville.
Well, the roads.
You have to. It's like for the roads, for everything. Like and plus we moved away from my dad that was helping us with like all of these things that we
Sure.
needed.
I didn't have
So
a
now we have a
trailer.
truck.
I just
I never go into the back of it. It's just
okay.
I put a cover on it and I never go back there.
So you're just enjoying life. You're
I
taking.
just Yeah, but shouldn't
that's
we all
cool.
try to enjoy? I don't know. I
We
just
sh-
do
we
things
should
that I
all
think
do
are
it.
fun.
Oh, I think after like you had your big businesses and later on, I feel like we are
I think
also
he's
being
still working
choosy.
really hard.
But we are like also being a little choosy.
What we
want to
do?
make sure we spend more time with the family. We are. We're not like even picking up the brands. You're a little picky with the brands. You don't. You
We
only
don't
want
do
to
much brand deals
work
because
with,
of that.
yeah. Want to work with the people you love.
When I first made a big hit, like when I, I made a large amount of money with a
Yeah.
reasonably short amount of time,
Yeah.
I kind of went through this, like, I don't know, I call it idiot tax. I was paying idiot tax for a while, the Rolls Royce and this and that, and I did that, and I had that,
Okay.
and I had to get it out of my system,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I did. Now it's like, I just do things that I love.
Yeah.
Like my motorcycles and my pickup truck, they're not like, they're not indicators of wealth or anything.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
they're very
Just
normal. But I don't
enjoy.
care. I just don't care anymore. I truly don't
good.
care. It almost repulses me, these symbols of that are just unnecessary.
So you live for yourself.
I just live for myself. That being said, if I really liked something,
Mhm.
I mean, if I really liked the Rolls Royce, like
Yeah.
maybe I'd get it,
Yeah.
but I don't. It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything for me anymore.
Can
It
You
used
moved to Miami at a good age. Can you
Me?
imagine if you moved 20 years ago?
That's why I'm trying to keep my kids grounded.
Oh, that's true. Your kids still have to live here.
They live here and they're exposed to this stuff. But my kids,
Yeah.
they're really good.
Your boys are great.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
No,
you.
they are really sweet. I think you guys are doing a good job with Valeria, and what they see is really important.
Valeria gets a lot of mom guilt, especially when she has to go away. And so I'm always telling her, I always say to her, Valeria, it's more important that they see what you're doing because it's very visible to them.
Yeah.
And they see the value that you're creating and they see your success and your work ethic. That's more important than that extra couple of hours you would have spent if you didn't go on that business trip. So go on the business trip.
You know that men never get like dad guilt? It's not a thing. It literally isn't a thing.
Men
I
are-
learned about that.
We're just wired differently.
No, but like men never, and you know what? Where most of mom guilt comes from is because women set this standard, unrealistic standard for each other. Like, oh, I'm doing this, but you're not. And I think Valeria may not be directly looking at this stuff, but like behind the scenes, she's thinking about, oh, this other mom is like I had that too. And
You're
mom guilt
probably
comes
right.
from other moms, and we're setting up this dumb expectation for each other that we're each like hurting each other. So we went on a brand trip with this Willing brand, the knife brand, and we went to Amsterdam, Germany. It was me and Tim, and I had this mom was writing me like, how dare you leave your babies behind? I'm like, babies, they're 17 years old. And I like literally took it. I don't reshare. We don't get a lot of negative comments. So this like pissed me off because it's like, was other mom telling me this? And it's like, you're setting this expectation for other moms and you probably tell it to other moms in your community, also pointing it out. So I was like, I took a picture of Tim and Jacob, our oldest. They look the same in size. I was like, you're telling me this is my baby. Like
Right.
literally, I shared it out there because it's just like, it's annoying. It's frustrating that moms don't support other moms, but they rather like
don't.
smack you.
I think a lot of mom guilt comes from a kind of this like physiological difference between fathers and mothers, and I believe this, and I think that at the risk of offending some moms, I'm going to say it anyways, is that men and women have a different set of priorities when it comes to their children. For a woman, her priority is that the children, two things, is that the children feel unlimited amounts of love and that the woman as a mother receives that love back. So those are the two most important things, is to give and receive love. The most important thing for me with our kids is that they're going to be capable men, especially after I'm dead. That's what I care about the most.
That's interesting.
And the fact that they love me, it's important to me, but it's
It doesn't ruin your day.
it's very secondary. I care about them being capable as adults. I care about,
That's interesting.
I do too. That's interesting. Yeah.
because even with my own parents, I didn't get along with my father, and he was very tough with me, and my mom was unlimited loving, and I feel that a lot of the resilience I got was because of the way my dad was with me, and maybe there's obviously a lot of benefits to being loved and feeling loved, but
Yeah.
I don't know. For me as a man, it's just more if when I'm no longer around,
Yeah.
they look back and they're like, you know what, like he was a bit of a jerk, but they're capable. I'm good.
I think we need to wrap up the podcast. But I was gonna say, do you guys fight? Have you raised kids with you and Valeria?
No.
You're like, you don't. She doesn't get upset like when you parent not the way they like she wants you to parent.
No.
It's one of our biggest arguments.
Really?
Well, not now because boys are older, but like throughout periods of your life,
No,
yeah.
I would say it was
We
an
didn't
argument.
like how each other.
It was a disagreement, maybe. In a
Because
way.
like you said, I want to smother them with love and he's tough, and I was like, don't be
I was
so.
more-
I would say that that's the key
aggressive.
thing. Like that, I think just as a final note, like that's the only thing where if something that if we give them something that's ultimately not good for them, Valeria will be more likely to let them have it because it makes them happy in the short term.
Oh.
I'm likely to take it away because I know that they need discipline. So but I think that's just
Yeah.
a father mother.
Yeah.
That's always going to be the
Of course.
dynamic.
It's not a bad thing. I'm very open about like.
But I think it's necessary.
Yeah.
I think that's
changed
why
a lot.
children need a mother and a father. They need,
That's true.
you know what I mean? Ideally, I mean, there's different circumstances, and
Yeah.
I'm sympathetic to that. But ideally, you have all of this like love and unconditional love from a mother, but you have a father who's a little more,
Especially with boys, we both have.
especially with boys.
Yeah,
I can't
for
comment on girls. We don't have girls.
Boys.
Neither
we
do
don't
you.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for this. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
No, thanks for
Thank
being here.
you for
Oh, it's
coming.
great having you here.
Sorry, we were chatty. That means we were having fun.
No, it's good.
We
It's
were
good.
talking for a long
I set
time.
aside the time. I'm glad we did it. I'm gonna get some more water though.
Yeah, please.